And thank you so much for coming to spend your Thursday, June 6th with me of 2024. Um, when did it become June? I feel like it was just February. This is really time goes so quickly, doesn't it? I don't know. Is it the older you get, or is it just because it's summer and the school year is almost over and we're on day 21 of the Karen Reed trial, day 21. And here we are. YURIY Bukhenik is scheduled to take the stand again today, and it's a short day today, only 9 to 12. And perhaps at the end of the day, Judge Canoni will tell us what next week's schedule is going to be because there's no court tomorrow. So at this rate, we'll be here until Labor Day, but I'm happy to be here with you. Although I've heard that the defense says their case is only going to take 4 days. So we'll see. And where's Proctor? Where's Proctor? You see what they're doing with Buchanan, right? You see what they're doing. They're trying to distance Proctor from this investigation by using this witness to distance him. And I don't know if it's going to work. Proctor's the one who signed off on all of the witness statements that are so different from the way some of the witnesses testified at not only state grand jury, but the federal grand jury. And I'm really hoping that we get to cross today. I'm really confused about that Sallyport video that we saw yesterday. So I hope that if Alan Jackson is crossing Buchanan, we're going to get some clarity as to what was going on with that Sallyport video. It was mirrored. So many of you sent me just screenshots that were flipped around. And I just need somebody to explain it to me like I'm 5 years old. I don't understand why the camera was recording that way. I don't understand if that's the way the camera in the Sallyport records or if they did something to alter it in some way. I'm just very, very, very confused. And I feel bad for the jury. I mean, the jury's been sitting there for 21 days, but it's been how many weeks now? 6 weeks. We're on I think week number 6. I can't do math this early in the morning. It's early. Good morning, Macbeth. Thanks for the super chat. Who are we most looking forward to today? Lally or the fan? My God, man, I hope he's done quickly. Thank you for becoming a member, Heather. Thank you, Heather, for becoming a member. On top, thank you so much for your super sticker this morning. And Shannon 1989, thanks for being a member for 2 months. Time sure does fly. Let's manifest across. Yes, can we all manifest across today? I thought that was great yesterday with Laura and the deep breathing. It helped me. I actually rewound it and I went back and listened to it last night. Again, and it put me to sleep. I love the sound of her voice. Let's all try and be more like Laura. If you weren't here yesterday, we had a meditation instructor come in to do a 10-minute guided meditation, really just breathing exercises before we started the trial because I felt that we all needed it. Maybe a lunchtime breathing exercise would be good one day when we have a full day of court so that we can breathe together and calm down because this gets very stressful, doesn't it? Leandra, thank you so much for your super chat. Good morning, cupcakes. Rise and shine. It's time for some lion eyes. Dad and his friends are outraged at the lack of respect of Officer John O'Keefe, so they are writing cards of condolence and support to the O'Keefes. That's so lovely. I remember you told me that your dad is retired law enforcement. He's in his 80s, and he is outraged. Just so we also hello, Leandra, and hello to Leandra's dad if you're watching today, and his friends as well. Thank you, Anne, for liking the sound of my voice. I'm going to try and use my best ASMR voice today because it's very early. And I have somewhat of a frog in my throat. Yes, Brian is in court today from LTL True Crime. He sent me some pictures already. So he's there. Hello, Brian. We'll look for him on tape. And that'll be fun. Linda, thank you for sending in me an email. I can't look at it now, but I'll try and look at it later. Thank you. If it just sent it, thank you very much, Linda. Just imagine how the conspiracies are going to fly stronger if they don't call him. Well, not only that, but they may get a missing witness charge. if they don't call him, which doesn't look good for them. And that's when the judge instructs the jury that under certain circumstances, you can draw negative inferences from the fact that the Commonwealth did not call a certain witness that is germane to their case. They'll argue in front of the judge that he's not really, because we can use YURY to testify about everything that Proctor would have testified to, but I don't buy it. Oh, fan is up. Oh, Karen McDonald, thank you for your $50 super sticker. You're so kind and generous. Thank you. I really appreciate that. And you. Nico 2020. Thanks for the 5. Did you see Karen mouth to her family, no Proctor ever? I couldn't make out what she was saying, but you guys did point that out to me, and I went back and I watched it, and a lot of people sent it to me. And I don't know if that's exactly what she said, but it seemed like she said something about no Proctor. Maybe we're going to find out. Maybe we'll find out today. Maybe we'll get to listen in on one of these sidebars or one of these arguments. I miss the motions hearings that we used to watch, where the attorneys would get up and argue their points on certain motions of Rule 17 and the motion to disqualify the DA and the motion for the judge to recuse herself. And I'm jonesing for a little bit more argument from the attorneys, because listening to Lally do direct examination of these witnesses makes me really just want to stick a fork in my eye or an ice pick it gives me like an ice pick pain in the side of my head. I don't know, but I hope we're going to find out, Nico. Thank you for that. There's been a lot of rumblings about whether he's flapping in the wind somewhere, or I don't know if anybody knows where he is, or if he's run away, or I don't know. But like I said, they're screwed if they call him, and they're screwed if they don't. It's crazy. Willing to grow. Thanks for becoming a member. Kelly M, thank you for your 20. The video in Sallyport is crazy. The guy did come out the driver's side. The windshield wiper imprints are reversed. Aussie Insider, I think, has done a new video on that, and I think she flipped the video around. So maybe, Aussie, if you're here, I'll play that later. But many of you pointed that out to me. I haven't had a chance to watch it yet. I think it's about 11 minutes. So maybe at lunch, we'll take a break and we can take a look at that. So I'm not sure why it was mirrored. It's almost like it's very strange, because I thought we had seen other video of the Sallyport and it wasn't mirrored like that. Thank you, Karen. So I don't know. Yeah, Matthew, that's what's interesting too, is that Karen is fully aware the camera is on her. So whatever she did mouth, I'm sure is not confidential, unless it's something she wanted the public to see. I don't know. I've already had one incident today where I just dumped an entire iced coffee on my carpet, so that was fun. It's my tardiness of a few minutes. Ryan Courtney Davenport, thank you so much for appreciating my lack of F-bombs. She says, thank you so much. Or it's Ryan and Courtney. Maybe there's a couple's picture there. Although I do know some girls named Ryan. So thank you for not using curse words every other word like most streamers. I'm a mom. My kids and their friends like to watch my show sometimes when it's something they're interested in. And it's just, it's not my thing. So thank you for appreciating it. So many of you have said you like to watch true crime with your parents who are in their 80s and 90s and they don't want to hear the words, and your kids don't want to hear them, and you want to listen to my show on the TV without headphones or at work without headphones, and I'm happy to oblige. So that's why we have sort of strict rules here about what people can and cannot say in the chat, because YouTube also has a list of, like, remember George Carlin's old routine? I think it was the 7 dirty words you can't say on TV. Well, YouTube has a spreadsheet of about, I don't know, 1,000 words or so that they just don't like, and it triggers their AI. Dawn had a good question here. Let me see if I can pull it up. How can YURY testify about stuff that Proctor signed off on? Well, YURY claims to be Proctor's supervisor. That's the first I'm hearing of this. I thought they were partners. I thought they were on the same level. So he's going to say that he was present, perhaps, during all the witness interviews, because many of the times Proctor interviewed witnesses, he was there with him. Whether he was in the room or not, I don't know. And I don't recall if any of the witnesses testified that he was in the room. So I don't know if the Commonwealth witnesses have been on board with with knowing or surmising or have been told that Proctor may not be called, and therefore we need to sort of divert attention to YURY as being the lead investigator, because now they've already all of a sudden changed Proctor's title to a case investigator. So that's interesting to me. And it's also interesting, and I predicted this as well, that so many of the witnesses have backed off their statements of things that they allegedly told Proctor that Proctor has in his statements, but the witnesses are saying, oh, I never told Proctor that. And they can do that because none of the witness statements were recorded by audio or video. None of them were signed. None of them were initialed. And it's a crock. It's not the way witness statements are supposed to be taken. They're also not supposed to be done in groups. But you heard YURY testify yesterday that when he went to the McCabe's house for their comfortable interview and did their formal introductions, that, Jen sent, or they sent, Matt McCabe upstairs to the bedroom. And I think YURY testified that Brian Albert didn't even show up at the house until after Jen and Matt were interviewed, I think. But Jen told us that she sent Brian Albert up into her bedroom. And I said, because I remember saying to you, would you ever send your friend Brian Albert up into your bedroom? Nobody comes in my bedroom. I hate it when my kids bring their friends and they're just standing at my bedroom door talking to me and their friends are standing next to them. Like, nobody comes in my bedroom. Because if it's a mess, I'm embarrassed. And it's my space, my personal space. I would certainly not send Brian Albert up to my bedroom. So it's crazy. Shannon, yes, it's officially summer. I can only watch Melanie during the day now. Yeah, I think that maybe that's what we're going to have to do. After this trial, we're going to have to find another trial to do live together. So keep in mind what you want to watch after this trial is over, if ever this trial is over, what you want to do next. I'm here for it. This is a better schedule for me too, really. So, Love and Nurse, are we staying with Lally or are we going into Cross? I think Lally was not finished because the judge did say to Lally, is this a good place for you to break? And he said, yeah. So, Sox fan, I'm a girl and my name is Ryan, R-I-A-N. I love that. I love that. Hello, Disabled Rebel. Disabled Rebel is back. Internet restored. Missed y'all. I'm behind, so any extra explanation from last 2 days would be awesome. Happy to be back. Oh, you missed a lot. But I can't even tell you what the best parts of the testimony was or were, but you missed a lot. A lot of forensic evidence, a lot of, let's just say, broken chain of custody or zero chain of custody on the clothing that Proctor turned in 6 weeks after he collected it, about certain items of clothing that were stored in the same envelope, about the glass pieces on the bumper, or some of them not matching up to any of the other glass pieces that were found. And they certainly were not embedded in the bumper or the glass pieces. There was an apparent hair that was found on the side of the Lexus after a blizzard. We have not even heard whether it's a human hair or if the hair matches to anyone. We've watched a lot of video from the bars and from, good morning, Aussie Insider, video from the bars and from the outside of the bar, and some video in which Lally wants us to believe that Karen had something like 7 or 9 drinks. She's handed drinks in tall glasses and then shots that she poured into her glasses. And many of you in the chat were saying, I order a seltzer and then I order a shot and then I pour the shot in. I don't think anybody's denying that Karen was drinking, but it doesn't mean that she hit John O'Keefe with her car because we haven't seen any evidence of that. We have seen that perhaps one of these forensic examiners was able to piece the taillight pieces all together. And we saw 5 undocumented searches of taillight pieces and just video of the back of Karen's Lexus where it looks to us like the taillight's intact. So I really need someone to explain this to me like I'm 5 years old, because I don't know what I'm missing. What am I missing? Yesterday we saw a video of Karen pulling out of the driveway in the daylight with her brakes on and then her driving without the brakes on, and the lights look the same as the video that they showed us after she hit John's car in the driveway and pulled out at 5 a.m. on January 29th. So I'm confused. Thank you. Aussie Insider Sarah Boone will be nuts. Faux show. Yeah, that's crazy. That's the suitcase case. But she's fired her lawyer like 7 times, right? I don't know when that case is going to go to trial, but keep me posted. Aussie, is it okay if we show your Sallyport video later, maybe? Permission granted? Don't worry, you guys, the fan is up. We're not missing anything other than a little bit of early morning nausea. But I know some people get very anxious. Court TV is a few seconds behind other streams. So if you're watching on other streams, please no spoilers. Let's put this small for now. Right, Shannon, with Yuri on the stand, who needs to call a medical examiner? Right, he was allowed to testify about the injuries, about what he observed the injuries to be, and how he thinks those injuries happened, and it was just a little bit of whack. All of the objections were sustained, as always. Thank you, Ozzy, for permission. I don't know. Dawn says the unlawful search and seizure of her car and phone is maddening. I need to hear more on that. I need to hear more. I don't think they had a warrant for the car. I don't know if they did. I don't know if she handed her phone over willingly. I'm confused. If she was a suspect, maybe she was willing to talk to them and they didn't need to Mirandize her. I have questions. I have a lot of questions about that. And not being a criminal defense attorney myself, I'm not sure. I did hear Mark Betterow say that it wasn't important for them to Mirandize her before they did that interview at her parents' house. So I don't know. AJ's wearing a pink tie today. Yeah. Okay. Can't wait to see it. His sartorial splendor is really something I look forward to on court days. I love the way he dresses. I just do. He's a sharp dressed man. Adding that to the playlist. Okay. The playlist already has like 49 songs on it. It's going to be called the Karen Reed Trial Mixtape. For those of you who can remember mixtapes, I think we're up to almost 50 songs. So as soon as I put the finalizing touches on that, I'll post it in case anybody wants to listen to it. I have Spotify, so it'll be a Spotify playlist. Thanks, Miss Carrie. Sarah Boone is currently on her lawyer number 8 and her second judge. That's interesting. That is interesting. Salty Sea Glass, I want to know what car Matt McCabe was supposedly getting the very day he was driving by the state at Albert's. Oh, yes. Remember he said I was going to pick up a car. He was in the group chat. He said, I'm going to pick up a car and I'm driving by and the police are still outside, but they're at the Asian house. I remember that. Thank you, Solomon Landscaping says I'm the best. Melanie's the best. Hit the like, please. Hit the like, please. Good morning. Thank you, Lila Gagushka, for gifting a membership, and congratulations for the lucky winner who was randomly gifted. Disabled Rebel, thank you for your super chat. I'm dying for the defense's expert witnesses. Me too. Me too. But I really want to hear from the medical examiner for the Commonwealth also, because her manner of death is undetermined, and the cause of death is the head injury with hypothermia. I want to know because we have not seen any other injuries to his lower body or torso or hips or knees or ankles or feet or anything that would show bumper marks from a car or indicate that he was in fact hit by the car. Because I've never seen a pedestrian case without those lower body injuries. Susan Agnello, Lally is never finished. Thank you, Susan. I think you don't mean Allie, you mean Lally, right? Not Allie McCabe. Thank you, Susan, for coming into the 10 early this morning. Intolerant, thank you. Aussie Insider superimposed the 2 videos of the taillights, both with and without snow, and they're identical. She does an amazing job with her edits. We'll take a look at them later on the lunch break. Candy Carter, thank you so much for your super chat. She says, thank you. I love this channel. Auntie Bev is now Mama Bev. To me, she's baby Lally. She's babying Lally. You're right, Mama Bev. I like it. Candy Carter with the Mama Bev moniker for Judge Cannoni. Drives me crazy. She drives me crazy. Ooh, ooh. I got to put that on the list. She drives me crazy. Thank you. All right. Time is up, my friend.
Could I see counsel at sidebar about a couple of things, please?
Good. We can have a little more time to chat amongst ourselves. She drives me crazy. Thank you, Harry Cruz, for becoming a new member. Franco Cimino, all the way from Italia. This joke of a trial cannot go on. The feds must step in. Love to all from Napoli. Oh, love to Napoli. I hear you have the best pizza. I've been to Rome. I've been to Florence. Never been to Naples. And I really want to go to Naples. I've been to Naples, Florida, but it's totally not the same thing. And 2 of my kids have taken Italian in school. So I did make that promise that if they took Italian in school, I would take them to Italy. Which is interesting to me because speaking of school languages, they've taken, oh, let's see who's here. Okay, so Will is back in court today. Will, if you don't know him, he has a channel called The Glarer. He's been a Free Karen Reid supporter since far longer than I have. Mr. and Mrs. Reid right here. This is Kelly Reid, Karen's cousin. And I thought Brian is there, but I don't see him. I mean, maybe sitting over here to the left, to Kelly's right, which would be to our left. Unless that's Brian over here in the blue blazer, but I don't think it is. It's amazing when you know people from YouTube, right? And you think they're a certain height. Brian sent me a picture this morning of he and Will is very tall, because I know Brian's tall. I know Brian's probably 6 feet, 6'1". PK Dangles, thanks for the super chat, says my wife drinks Tito's water with lime a lot. Tito's and water with a lime. And we know, thanks for the super chat, we know that Matt McCabe was drinking, he just said vodka. Maybe he just goes for the house brand, the well vodka. Cheap stuff with water and a splash of Crystal Light, which actually sounds good. I mean, maybe the Crystal Light iced tea, because I do love the Crystal Light iced tea. Listen, if we're gonna promote brands, let's promote the brands that we like. And I am a big fan. There's a Kurt from Uncivil Law. Woo, spin for me, baby. Only fans all the time. Good morning, Kurt. I do think the Crystal Light iced tea is the best, in my opinion. So, if we're going to promote brands and get ourselves a brand deal, let's do it with brands that we like. Brian's next to Will? Oh. I didn't see him. Scott says, Jen doesn't let Matt pick anything. That's funny. Don't Messer Firefly's sweet tea vodka is chef's kiss. That is pretty good. If you like an Arnold Palmer, which would be like Firefly sweet tea vodka with lemonade, maybe. That is Paul O'Keefe, John O'Keefe's brother. Yes, Carrie, Crystal Light lemonade fits this trial. I have pink lemonade downstairs. Crystal Light pink lemonade. It is good. Let's see if we can see Brian. That is Mrs. O'Keefe, John O'Keefe's mom. And since we're here and having a sidebar, let's take a look at this for a minute. Here's the picture that Brian sent me from outside court of Will and Brian, for those of you who are interested. So, hi, guys. Hello, we see you in the courtroom. Hope it's a good day of testimony for you both. So, yeah, Will's really tall. I don't know. Does anyone know how tall Will is? So good on those guys for being in court today, supporting the family. Casey says, I can confirm Brian is 6 feet tall, so Will is really tall. Are you Casey the girlfriend? Are you Casey the girlfriend of Brian? It's nice to meet you, Casey. Or for some other reason, you just know that he is 6 feet tall. I know that. I think you're a mod on his channel, right? If it's the same Casey. 6'4". 6'4" is a very respectable height. I'm close to 5'8", so I can confirm to you that most men are a lot shorter than 6 feet. If you know, you know. What am I doing? I'm on a wacky layout here. All right, that's better. It's Mrs. O'Keefe, and I guess Mrs. O'Keefe's friend. I'm not sure. Kathleen says, Will and Brian are not on a flat surface. Brian is a little bit down. Melissa's also 5'8". Sometimes we digress, folks. Sometimes we digress. Bailey has a theory. She says, I think Bev is going to try to not allow Proctor in at all. Maybe it's wishful thinking, but perhaps Proctor will be indicted in the federal case. Wishful thinking for a lot of us. Does look like a pinkish tie. Free Billy Tibbetts. So you guys told me who Billy Tibbetts is. He's a hockey player. Is he still in jail? Because they're saying free my boy Billy Tibbetts. Is he still currently incarcerated? And if so, where?
All persons have any business before the Honorable Beverly Canoni, Justice of the Norfolk Superior Court, in the County of Norfolk. Draw near, give your attendance, and shall be heard. God save the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Court is now open. You may be seated.
God save the Commonwealth.
The Commonwealth versus Karen Reed. Can I have the witness, please?
So, good morning again, Counsel and Ms. Reed. Good morning, jurors. We appreciate your patience. Giving us this time actually helps streamline things today, so we appreciate that. I do have to ask you those 3 questions. Were you all able to follow the instructions and refrain from doing any independent research or investigation?
I'm just going to mute her for a second because we don't need to hear it. Tommy says Bev doesn't have a say in witnesses. No, but she does have a say about whether or not the Commonwealth gets whether the defense will get a missing witness charge if they don't call Proctor. And perhaps we can go over that later, what a missing witness charge is and what it means and what it says in Massachusetts. Because it's not a good thing. Here in New York, I did look at the statute in Massachusetts, so I did have it pulled up, but I had to close all my tabs and restart my computer, so I just got to find it again for you, Tommy, but I got my Dave Matthews earrings on for you today.
You solemnly swear the evidence you give the court and jury in the case down here, and should the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Lally, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, sir. Good morning, sir. Circle back just to a couple things that from your testimony from yesterday. Going back to the video that you reviewed from both C.F. McCarthy's and the waterfall. In total, from those 2 videos, how many drinks did you observe the defendant consuming over her time?
The video shows 9 drinks being consumed by the defendant.
And that's between when she arrives at C.F. McCarthy's until the time that she leaves the waterfall. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And if I could turn your attention to the ring videos from One Meadows Avenue, Mr. O'Keefe's residence. From the videos that you observed, let me ask you first, as far as, do you know how those cameras work as far as when they turn on and when they turn off?
My understanding is that ring surveillance video is triggered to be recorded through motion. So if the camera detects motion, which is constantly live monitoring, and motion is detected, then that video is captured to a cloud-based system that retains that footage.
And from your review of those videos, what kind of motion would set those off? Like what kind of things would be recorded from the driveway camera?
Be activity in the driveway, such as a person walking through, bird landing, a vehicle pulling in, individuals, moving around in the driveway. and so forth.
And the search warrant that was applied for was any and all videos between January 24th and January 30th, correct?
For one of the search warrants, that's correct, yes.
And with respect to that time frame, what, if any, activity based on information that you had received was not available or was not shown on those Ring videos?
The data returned had video that would have been captured from the defendant arriving home after midnight on the 29th, after she dropped Mr. O'Keefe off at 34 Fairview Road. That video was not present in the data that was returned from Ring. There was,
what, if any, other video in addition to that one was not present?
there was also video missing from the defendant showing Ms. McCabe and Ms. Roberts the damage to her right rear taillight.
Or she didn't.
What, if any, follow-up or what, if any, inquiry was then done with regard to Ring as far as those types of videos or deletion, or how those videos could not be present?
Correspondence with Ring produced information that
Sustain.
Let me ask just first, was there follow-up with Ring in regard to those videos?
yes, there was.
And was there ever anything produced with regard to those videos or those timeframes from Ring?
No, there was not.
And it was all
I'd like
done
to
by
turn your
Proctor.
attention over to,
Proctor
the
requested the
time and
video.
type, just in reference to subsequent to that later on. What, if anything, did you receive, or what, if anything, did you request? What, if anything, did you receive from the Dayton Police in regard to January 29, 2020?
I communicated with the Dayton Police Department requesting documentation from their officers' calls for service at our request, and log notes, logs from their dispatching center, as well as any reports that would document their activity if such reports existed.
And did you, what, if any, information did you receive in relation to that?
I received a log note or log printout from their CAD system, and I received a report authored by Officer Barrows.
And did you also receive any 911 calls?
Yes,
And who was the party as far as the 911 caller in regard to those 911 calls that you received?
it was Mr. Reed.
And again, just for clarity purposes, that's the defendant's father, is that correct?
That is correct.
And that's from the morning of January 29th, is that also correct?
Correct.
Now, sir, if I could turn your attention to February 3rd, 2022. At some point that morning, where did you go?
At
During
some
the morning
point,
hours of February 3rd.
I have to stop because already Lisa Alexander is screaming at her TV. Proctor is the one who requested all the Ring video. The children have testified Karen did not have access to the Ring app. We have heard Jen McCabe talk about how proud Officer O'Keefe was of his Ring cameras and how he would often show her from his phone the video from his Ring camera. So we know that he accessed it from his phone because he was showing people the videos all the time. We also know that Carrie Roberts was the first person to come in possession of Officer O'Keefe's phone at the scene where he was murdered, because she's the one who said she found the phone when the first responders scooped up his body. Interestingly, though enough, none of the first responders saw that phone. But Carrie Roberts told you and us and the jury that she picked up the phone of John O'Keefe, put it in her pocket, and at some point later, some first responder that she doesn't recall asked her if she had it, and she willingly handed it over to some law enforcement officer who, maybe Proctor, we don't know. Maybe Jen McCabe, we don't know. But we know that you're able to delete Ring footage from your phone. Any of you who have a Ring app, I have never accessed my Ring app from a computer, only from my phone. So first, this witness wants you to believe that he saw her have 9 drinks. 9 drinks of what? He cannot say what was in the glass. The receipt that we looked at, that we were shown last night from CF McCarthy's, has 2 Tito's and I think a Coors Light on it. So we can assume perhaps that the shots she had were poured into a drink. Maybe that was vodka. And maybe the other drinks were seltzer. But for him to sit there and say that he saw her have 9 drinks, Well, he didn't say alcoholic drinks. I'm sure he's going to be, I want to get up and do the cross-examination on this guy, just do. But I am here screaming into a void, but I'm not going to scream today. I'm going to be very calm. See how calm I'm being so far today? So they have a plan, I'm sure, for cross, and we're going to hear it. But if you're already screaming at the TV, never fear, because AJ is here. Moving on.
We plan to meet at 34 Fairview Road. Myself, Trooper Proctor, and Trooper DeChico arrived at that location in order to conduct a secondary search of the area as the temperatures were turning and the snow was melting naturally. We decided to do another search for articles that were now, we realized and learned, were missing and could be of evidentiary value and aid in the, in the investigation.
All right, I'm going to rewind that because I don't know what date he's talking about because I got sidetracked with my own thoughts. So let's hear this. He's sticking to a script. He's been very well prepped. He's been the first witness that we've seen for the Commonwealth who is so well prepped. He knows every answer to every question. He doesn't need to look at reports. He doesn't need to look at notes. He remembers all of it like it was yesterday.
At some point that morning, where did you go?
At some point that morning.
During the morning hours of February 3rd,
Oh, February 3rd.
we plan to meet at 34 Fairview Road. Myself, Trooper Proctor, and Trooper DeChico arrived at that location in order to conduct a secondary search of the area as the temperatures were turning and the snow was melting naturally. We decided to do another search for articles that were now, we realized and learned, were missing and could be of
Missing
evidentiary value and aid in the, in the investigation.
And with respect to going to 34 Fairview Road, what, if any, tools or what, if anything, did you bring with you, you and the other troopers, in regard to conducting that secondary search?
I requested the troopers bring shovels, rakes, anything like gardening items that would help them to dig through the snow and locate any missing items.
And as far as the temperature change that you're talking about, how precipitous a change are we talking about?
The temperatures went above freezing, so the snow did begin to melt, and it was significantly warmer compared to the 18 degrees the night of the incident.
Well, he seems to run his ship similarly to the way that Gallagher and Goody ran their ship. Because Gallagher told Goody, hey, you got a leaf blower? Why don't you shoot back to your house and get your leaf blower out of your garage and bring it back here? So he did. He shot there, shot right back. Yuri is telling you that he told his guys, hey, bring some gardening tools. Bring some gardening tools, shovels, rakes, gardening tools, anything that might help us, dig through the snow. So did these guys go into their shed and get a hoe and a shovel and a pick and a things out of their shed? Or are these trooper issued, Massachusetts State Police issued gardening tools that he's talking about, which, by the way, may or may not contaminate any evidence that they may find with said gardening shovel? Okay, moving on.
Now, you mentioned items of evidentiary value that you had learned of and were looking for. What, if any, clothing items of Mr. O'Keefe were you looking for specifically on February 1st?
We were specifically looking for Mr. O'Keefe's baseball cap.
And in addition to yourself, Trooper Proctor and Trooper DeChico, who, if anyone else, did you notify, or who, if anyone, from any other unit within the state police responded that day as well?
We requested the assistance of the Crime Scene Services section of the Massachusetts State Police, and Trooper Evan Brent showed up to assist us with documentation of the location and the evidence that we were hopefully going to find.
And we knew where it was.
And from those, Trooper Brent arrived and took photographs, is that correct?
That's correct.
And when was it that Trooper Brent arrived in relation to your arrival?
I believe he was already present when we pulled up, but I'm not sure to his exact time of arrival.
That's one thing you don't know
And
today,
with
sir?
regard to that day, what, if anything, in general terms, what, if anything, were you able to locate and where was it, generally speaking?
We located Mr. O'Keefe's baseball hat. We located a drinking straw from a cocktail glass. We located items of plastic, colored plastic, and other shards of colored plastic at the location. All those items were located on the grass portion of the yard near the flagpole at 34 Fairview Road.
And Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
Okay, so they found a hat, they found the straw, they found some colored plastic, some other plastic shards, he said, near the flagpole with their gardening tools. Okay? And the hat was right there by the flagpole. So is Lally going to say, I've told you how windy it was. It was so windy that the wind blew the hat away, and then the wind blew the hat right back. Blew the hat right back to the flagpole. It's like the boomerang hat.
And Sergeant, I'm going to
I think
show
it
you a
was dark
series of photos, but I'm
in
going to
color.
break this up a little bit.
So, Mr. Lally, with your back to the jurors and the air conditioning on, I'm sure they can't hear you.
My apologies.
Oh, she's threatening.
So, sir, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some photographs, a series of them, but I'm going to break them up a little bit just to make it
Okay, sir.
hopefully quicker.
We know from the video that the hat was dark in color. So, you know, Kent and PD are just incompetent, you guys. There's no way they would have seen a baseball hat cap
Sir, first, I'm going to show you 10 photographs.
by the flagpole.
View those, look up when you're finished.
Amy, it's always 5 o'clock somewhere, girl. Deneen says, why didn't they take pictures, for God's sake? It makes no sense. I don't know. Why are they driving their personal vehicles so that they would not have dash cam? Why is there no body cam footage of when they went to interview Karen in Dighton? Because there's body camera footage that we're going to look at when she was arrested in June and upgraded. Her charges were upgraded, not like an upgrade on an airline where they put you in first class. No, for Karen, her upgrade was second-degree murder. There's body cam footage of that exchange in the precinct.
Thank you. Do you recognize those, sir?
Yes, I do.
And what do you recognize those to be?
Those are photographs documented the items located at 34 Fairview Road on the grass
Photos.
as the snow receded through the melting temperatures that were revealed to be positioned in the grass.
And what's contained in
As the snow receded through the melting temperatures that were placed in the grass. Does this sound like some Hollywood writer wrote this? Or does this sound like the way this gentleman would naturally speak? Maybe. Maybe he's very articulate and very well spoken. But they took pictures on this day, but nobody ever took a body of the area in which police officer John O'Keefe's body lay.
those photographs, is that a fair and accurate portrayal of what you observed on the front lawn area of 34 Fairview Road on February 3rd?
Yes, it is.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
I'm off to introduce the minutes and next exhibits.
Any objection, Mr. Jackson?
No objection.
Okay.
It does sound almost poetic, Steph. Kim is laughing and says, it's like he's writing a book. What is he looking at now? Oh, 800 photos. Okay.
Thank you.
Put some shovel emojis in the chat, members.
And Your Honor, with the court's permission, if I could just ask to publish some of these photos. For the
Yes.
record. Just one moment, Your Honor.
Sure.
And I also, upon request, made an emoji that says, wait for us. All of these special emojis are, I'm going to put some in there. Wait for us. Tell me if you like it.
Ms. Gilman, if I could start with photograph 7659. And Sergeant, do you recognize what's up on the screen and what's now been marked as Exhibit 468?
I do.
And if you could, just for orientation purposes, describe to the jury whereabouts in relation to 34 Fairview Road we are in this picture.
As standing on the street of Fairview Road, we're looking at the left side of the yard. In the top right corner, you can tell that there is a flagpole depicted in that photograph and a telephone switch box that's open on the left side, which is on the border of 34 Fairview Road.
And if I could ask from this photograph, if you know, grass that's visible on the front lawn area of 34 Fairview Road, is that from a natural melting process, or is that from some of the tools that you and the other troopers brought to assist you in your secondary search?
The reason that grass is exposed is due to processing of the scene and having the snow being moved away from the location, and then natural melting process taking place on top of it. As you can tell, other portions of the yard is covered in snow, and the snow had not, the grass has not revealed itself just yet.
Now, as far as the photographs of various items that were located on this date, February 3rd, the photographs that were taken, were they taken as they lay, or were they touched or manipulated in any way prior to the photograph being taken?
The items photographed were discovered as soon as we realized what is being discovered through the digging and excavation process. They were then photographed instantly. Certain items were revealed naturally through the melting process and the snow, no longer concealing those items underneath.
Thank you. Ms. Gilman, could I have photograph 7666? Again, sir, do you recognize what's up on the screen? It has now been marked as Exhibit 470.
I do.
And what do you recognize that to be?
That is a clear black and red piece of plastic.
And Ms. Gilman, if I could have photograph 7669.
That's a big piece.
And Sergeant, do you recognize what's now on the screen as Exhibit 473?
Yes, that is another piece of plastic.
And sort of towards the top middle of the screen, do you recognize what that is?
Yes, that's a fire hydrant from 34 Fairview Road, grass area.
Ms. Gilman, if I could have the next photograph.
I'm sorry, did he point to the plastic in that picture?
For the record, this is Exhibit 474.
This?
Do you recognize
Looks
that?
like a leaf.
Yes, sir.
And is that a closer up image of what was depicted in the prior exhibit?
Clear
It
and
is.
black. Oh, look how sharp it looks. Are they going to say that's what cut John's arm?
7672.
Wow.
And sir, do you recognize what's up on the screen, which has now been marked as Exhibit 476?
I do.
And what do you recognize that to be?
Another piece of red taillight plastic.
And lastly, from this batch, just going to invite out photograph 7673. Again, sir, do you recognize what's up on the screen, depicted in what's now marked as Exhibit 477?
I do.
And what do you recognize that?
That is the fire hydrant and telephone switch box located on the edge of the property line at 34 Fairview Road.
Now, the photographs that I had just placed before you, have you had a chance to review those?
I have.
And do you recognize what's depicted in those photographs?
I do.
And what do you recognize those?
The property at 34 Fairview Road, left corner towards the street, capturing the flagpole and the telephone switch box.
And you know what's so funny is that's the exact area that Canton PD were searching in with their leaf blower on the morning hours, in the morning hours of January 29th, when there were 2 inches of snow. And they didn't find any of these giant red pieces of taillight or a baseball cap. But you guys did 5 days later. It's amazing. It's magic.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Call off the seat to introduce and admit as the next exhibit.
Yeah. Sage,
Okay.
where are the tire marks dug into the lawn? It's like chitty chitty bang bang ran over Officer O'Keefe. It just flew over, hit him, then it flew out. And then it floated down the street. Chitty chitty bang bang, chitty chitty bang bang, chitty bang bang, chitty chitty bang bang, chitty bang bang, chitty chitty bang bang. Oh, you pretty chitty bang bang, pretty chitty bang bang, we love you. That was my favorite movie as a kid. We had to wait until it came to the theater. It only came around Christmas time. Oh, we're a little behind, so we can catch up. There's no closed captions today, my guys. Sorry.
I'd like to publish a few of the photos from this set.
Okay.
You recognize what's up on the screen. It has now been marked as Exhibit 481.
I do.
And if you could describe to the jury what's depicted in this photograph.
A red piece of plastic.
Where?
Is Ms. Gilman, if I could have the next one.
Where is it?
Can you use the pointer to show us
Yes,
where that
please,
is,
because even the
Yes, Your Honor.
judge can't see it.
All right, thank you.
Ms. Gilman, 7682. And Sergeant, do you recognize what's depicted on the screen and has now been marked as Exhibit 482?
I do.
You know, I'm going to see counsel at sidebar for just a minute, please.
Yeah. Did you guys bring a ruler to the scene? Did you guys bring a ruler? And like, why did you guys go back? Because we heard Lieutenant Kevin O'Hara, I think was his name, from the CERT team say, hey, listen, guys, when the snow melts a little, if you want me to come back, I'm happy to come back. Because that's what they do, right? Or maybe not. Maybe that's not what they do. I don't know who does what here. All I know is that it's okay to bring gardening tools from your shed, a leaf blower from your garage, and that's how we're going to look for evidence in Canton.
You are unmuted.
Maybe we are in Oz, Robin. I feel like it.
I'm sorry, Ms. Gilman, 7682. Sergeant, do you recognize what's up on the screen as Exhibit 482?
I do.
And what do you recognize that to be? Is
A red piece of plastic.
that the same piece of plastic, the close-up image from the prior exhibit?
Yes, it is.
And Ms. Gilman, if I could have photograph 7684.
Yeah. Why didn't she hit the fire hydrant, Candy Cane?
Sergeant, do you recognize what's up on the screen and has now been marked as Exhibit 484?
I do.
And what do you recognize that to be?
A white clear piece of plastic and a red piece of plastic.
And lastly, from this, sir, Ms. Gilman, if I could have 7687. Sir, again, do you recognize what's up on the screen? It's now been marked as Exhibit 487.
I do.
Now, Sergeant, with reference to the photos before you, have you had a chance to review that set of 10 as well?
Not this one yet, not yet.
If you could, please.
Yes, Mike, people stepping all over the place and the taillight was sitting up. Makes total sense. Joe says if those pieces are by the flagpole, the taillight would have exploded upon impact. And Chris-
Sergeant, do you recognize what's depicted in those photographs?
I do.
What do you recognize those to be?
Items that were located in the street, being the black cocktail drinking straw, and then
the
black
street.
pieces of plastic, molding plastic, and clear pieces and molding from taillight.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
I'm up to introduce in minutes the next time.
Any objection, Mr. Jackson?
None, Your Honor.
That black cocktail straw could have been from anywhere. It's Paul and Aaron O'Keefe, testified on day one. In my mind, very helpful for the defense. That is the friends and family section of the O'Keefe family. I believe there are only 10 seats per day on each side available. Kristen, I can't promise you that he won't be indirect for the rest of the day. I wish I could. Everybody loves Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. Truly scrumptious, you two are
Could
truly
display
scrumptious.
some of these photographs for the jury.
Okay.
My comedy means no disrespect. I just try and keep us all laughing so we don't cry.
And Sergeant, do you recognize what's up on the screen?
I do.
What do you recognize it to be?
It's the wide shot of the drinking straw being found on the edge of the roadway in front of 34 Ferry Road.
Sergeant, if you could, using the laser pointer before you, if you could direct the jury's attention to where you observed that straw. And Ms. Gilman, if I could have 7689. And Sergeant, what are we looking at in this photograph?
It's a close-up view of the same straw.
It has no ridges on it. Notice it's a smooth
Gilman,
straw
if I could have
as opposed to a
7692.
stirrer. The stirrers have ridges. Could be a coffee straw.
Sergeant, do you recognize what's up on the screen and has now been marked as Exhibit 492?
They found a
I do.
ruler.
And what are we looking at in 492?
Piece of plastic next to a measuring ruler that's provided for comparison and by the crime scene photographer to document the item.
And Ms. Gilman, if I could have 7695.
Wouldn't she have hit the fire hydrant if she backed up 60 feet at 24.2 miles an hour? And that's where her taillight pieces landed? Wouldn't she have hit the fire hydrant? I don't know. There should be a lot more damage to her car. Finally, somebody found a ruler.
For the record, this is now Exhibit
So
494.
proud of them.
Sergeant, what are we looking at in 494?
It's the same item from just prior, just zoomed in more, showing the detail, the black molding, the clear clear plastic and red plastic.
Sergeant, as far as those photographs before you, have you had a chance to review those?
Yes, I have.
And do you recognize what those are?
Yes, I do.
What do you recognize those?
There are pieces of red plastic, pieces of clear plastic, and a piece of glass.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
I'm about to seek to introduce and admit the next 10 exhibits.
No objection.
Thank you.
Did they test the straw? Because I didn't hear anybody talk about the testing of the straw. Karen was drinking with a white straw. Bridget, because we saw the white straw and I slowed it down in the video yesterday. I think I even froze on it. Because during all of the pretrial stuff that we went through, I don't remember there ever being a straw in evidence. So that was new information for me, at least.
Thank you.
Your Honor, with the court's permission, if I could publish just a few of these photographs for the jury as well.
Okay.
Where are the tire marks? Where are the tire marks? It was muddy. It was snowy.
And Ms. Gilman, if I could have photograph 7700. For the record, this is now Exhibit 498. Sergeant, if you could describe to the jury what we're looking at here.
We're looking at a red piece of plastic next to a measuring ruler on the edge of the grass on the property at 34 Fairview Road by the road.
And if you could, sir, using that laser pointer, just direct the jury's attention to where you observed that item to be in this photograph.
Right there.
Ms. Gilman, if I could have photograph 7705. And for the record, this is Exhibit 502. And Sergeant, if you could, again, describe to the jury what, if anything, of significance you noted there.
It's a shard of red plastic next to a measuring ruler.
Shard. It's really sharp. That's what cut Sean O'Keefe's
Gilman, if I
on.
could have photograph 7708. For the record, this is now Exhibit 504. Again, Sergeant, if you could, using the laser pointer, direct the jury's attention to what, if anything, of significance you know in this area.
There is a black piece of plastic molding next to a measuring ruler.
The bar straws in the video were clear, and they were long. She was drinking out of a tall straw.
Excuse me. Photo number
Because it was
771.
tall cylindrical glass, vase style, as
Again,
can
for the
accept
record, this is
eloquently.
Exhibit 508. And again, Sergeant, if you could, using the laser pointer, direct the jury's attention to what, if anything, of significance you know in this.
A clear piece of plastic next to a measuring ruler.
That's found on the grass area as well, is that correct?
That is correct.
Now, Sergeant, with reference to that new set of photos before you, have you had a chance to review those?
Yes, I have.
And do you recognize what's contained within those photographs?
Yes, I do.
And what do you recognize that those photographs to contain?
They contain small red pieces of plastic from 34 Fairview Road on the grass area where we located the others. Also contain a flimsy piece of circular, like very malleable plastic, clear plastic, in addition to that.
Malleable.
Can I approach
So
Yes.
it was, you could bend it. So it wasn't hard plastic. It was malleable plastic. That's what he said, right? That's what malleable means, right? It's bendable. What's that from? Courtney for the win. Matt McCabe must have dropped off a ruler for them when he wasn't monitoring the scene. Somebody also called it a feral straw, which I think is great. Keep coming in here with the comedy, guys. I'm here for it. There's nothing funny about this, but I'm in shock and horror that this is allowed to continue.
Some of these photos for the jury.
Yes.
Is the jury asleep yet? I can't wait to talk to Brian to see how the jury's been reacting.
Ms. Gilman, if I could have photograph 7715. For the record, this is now Exhibit 511. Sergeant, direct your attention to the screen if you could, using that laser pointer, direct the jury's attention to what, if anything, of significance you observed in this photograph.
That is the thin, malleable, circular in shape, a piece of clear plastic that was located in the lawn area of 34 Fairview Road.
This, my friends, this is the thing that they showed the other day to the forensic scientist. And they went to sidebar and they were not allowed to talk about it anymore. So this witness is going to introduce this to you, which appears to be, I don't know how big that ruler is, a pretty large piece of clear plastic that he's calling malleable. Okay, so where did that come from? Do we have any auto body repair people in the chat that can talk to us about the structural integrity or the structural makeup of a taillight? Because where did this come from? Can we zoom in and see the ruler? Did somebody grab the ruler out of their shed too? Is it a gardening ruler or like a carpenter's ruler? Or is it a
Lastly,
police issued
Sergeant,
ruler?
there's that set of photos that I just placed before you. Have you had a chance to review those?
Yes, I have.
And do you recognize what's depicted in those photographs?
Yes, I do.
And what do you recognize those to be?
There are items. Those are items recovered in the lawn at 34 Fairview Road. Those items are a shard of glass, a BPD baseball hat with an American flag, and stains of blood.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
Where are those?
I'm going to introduce the minutes the next 16 exhibits. Sorry.
No objection.
Jesse, they be introducing road trash into evidence because they don't have any.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And Your Honor, with the court's, sorry.
Jim.
Your Honor, with the court's permission, may I publish some of these photos to the jury as well?
Yes.
Jim.
And Ms. Gilman, if I could have photograph 7727. For the record, this is now exhibit 520. And again, Sergeant, if you could direct the jury's attention to what, if anything, of significance you observe in this photograph.
I observed a shard of glass next to a measuring ruler.
And Ms. Gilman, if I could have 7729. For the record, this is exhibit 522. And again, Sergeant, if you could describe to the jury what we're looking at here.
It's a larger piece of red plastic with black molding around the edge, located next to the telephone switch box on the grass area at 34 Fairview Road.
And Ms. Gilman, if I could have photograph 7733.
That's right, Mike.
For the record, this is exhibit 526. And Sergeant, from this photograph, what, if anything, are we looking at here?
This photograph here depicts the area which we are excavating during the morning hours of February 3rd, 2022. As the shovel works its way towards the grass, my laser pointer is directing your attention to Mr. O'Keefe's hat that was compacted underneath the snow.
Excavating, like they're at an archaeological dig, looking for fossils and ancient artifacts. They're excavating the snow. Okay, I can't wait to see where the baseball hat was.
On the ground.
Now, as far as this photograph is concerned, does that accurately depict the depth of the snow that you were digging into and sifting through on the morning of February 3rd?
It does.
And that, again, is several days after the blizzard of January 29th, correct?
That is correct.
And Ms. Gilman, if I can have photograph 7740.
Is that? Oh, there.
For the record, this is exhibit 530. And again, Sergeant, if you could describe to the jury what we're looking at here.
We're looking at Mr. O'Keefe's hat on the grass, pressed down and compacted to a flat surface underneath the snow, which has been excavated around it.
Excavated. Impacted.
Ms. Gilman, you can take that down.
Was the hat tested for blood? Because he had a wicked big gash on the back of his skull that would have bled profusely.
Sergeant, on
Anybody test the
February
hat?
3rd, 2022, is that the first time that you had been at 34 Fairview Road?
Yes, it is.
And with respect, if I could turn your attention briefly to the following day of February 4th. Did you have occasion to go back to 34 Fairview Road on that day?
Yes, I did.
And what brought you to 34 Fairview Road on February 4th?
Having excavated those items on the 3rd, I directed the troopers in my office, who obviously reside in the communities around us, to make a point to travel by that location every day on the way to work and every day on the way home. The purpose of that was to see if anything else was to reveal itself as the snow naturally melts away and items could present themselves. So on the February 4th, as I am traveling to work, I diverted my typical route of travel to go by 34 Fairview Road. Just prior to my arrival, I received a call stating that there was Kent police representatives at the scene,
Chief
and
Berkowitz.
more items have been revealed due to the melting snow, and that I should come collect those items.
He wants to tell you. He told his guys, every now and then on your way home, keep driving by 34 Fairview, see if you can come up with any more evidence. And so he's going to say that it was at his direction that Proctor kept doing all these undocumented searches, and that in fact it was at his suggestion that Chief Berkowitz, who was on medical leave, happened to be driving by 34 Fairview. I mean, even it wasn't on the 4th, so I think it was after the 4th. And Chief Berkowitz finds the biggest piece of tail light. And from what I hear, he's MIA too, so he's probably not going to come in and testify. But YURIY Bukhenik, who, quite frankly, has done a wonderful job of being off book today without his script. He learned his lines. He's been practicing for a long time. He's going to say that he's the one who directed them to do that. Okay. I'm sorry. I have to breathe. All right, move on.
I was down the street. I arrived and collected the item that presented itself.
And if you recall, that item that you collected on February 4th, was that located on the lawn, on the street, or something else?
It was on the lawn.
Of course.
Now, with reference to your collection of these items, either on February 3rd, February 4th, or on any sort of subsequent date, how were they collected, and what exactly did you do with them in reference to the seizing of the items and storage of the items?
Each item that was collected was placed in a evidence paper bag. The collection was done by utilizing latex gloves to prevent any transfer of evidence from fingerprints to DNA onto those items. Then those items were transported to our office, logged into the system, and stored in the evidence lockers at the office.
Were they Stop and Shop
And each of
bags
those
or?
respective bags of items or evidence, they were sealed as well, is that correct?
That's correct.
Oh, with
Now,
What?
turning your attention to February
a glue
10th
gun?
of 2022, did you have occasion to go back to 34 Fairview Road on that day as well?
I did.
And what, if anything, did you observe, or what, if anything, did you seize on that particular day?
We seized more shards of glass and plastic.
And if you know, or if you recall, how many pieces did you seize on that particular day?
My memory is exhausted to that, but the exact numbers annotated in on the bags that the items were placed into.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
Those are Lally's words. Those are one of the attorney's words. I don't know if Lally started that first, is your memory exhausted, or if it was Alan Jackson who started it first, but he would say, is your memory exhausted? And then he would show them a document. This witness just showed you that he's been watching the entire trial. He's been watching the entire trial. Yuri, whose coverage are you watching? Are you watching me? Are you watching Emily D. Baker? Who are you watching? Whose coverage? I need to know. I need to know who, because that tells you that he has been watching the trial. Is your memory? My memory is exhausted as to that. Okay. So fun. I really needed a good laugh today, and I'm getting it. I have to rewind that because it's pure comedy gold, my friends. This, if it was scripted, is genius. This person should get a Hollywood job in a Hollywood writer's room. Maybe Curb Your Enthusiasm needs writers, or SNL.
We seized more shards of glass and plastic.
And if you know, or if you recall, how many pieces did you seize on that particular day?
My memory is exhausted to that, but the exact numbers annotated in on the bags that the items were placed into.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
I'm showing you documents, just ask you to look at that section and look up on your.
He's risking his pension, his job, his family. What is he doing?
Is your memory refreshed as to how many items or what the items were that you recovered on February 10th?
Yes, it is.
And what were those items and how many, sir?
There was 6 items of clear red and black plastic and 14 items of plastic and glass.
Now, in addition to the dates that you were present at 34 Fairview Road and recovered items, them being February 3rd, February 4th, and February 10th, were there other dates that you're aware of that items were recovered by troopers that you supervised?
Yes.
And if you recall, what were those dates?
The dates were January 29th, February 11th, and February 18th.
Were there items recovered on February 8th as well?
Yes.
Now, as far as your direction or having let me first start with you. So on the dates that you were there, February 3rd, 4th, and 10th, were you alone on those dates, or were there other troopers with you when you were there?
On the 4th, I was alone as far as state police personnel. There were other Canton law enforcement representatives at the scene with me as I collected that one item.
They were conflicted.
On the other days,
Jeez.
I was accompanied by other troopers.
And as far as you know, obviously not being present, but from your supervision of these troopers, were there other occasions where individuals were at 34 Fairview Road? Were they alone or were they with a group of troopers?
Objection.
Sustained.
Now, as far as the items that were recovered when you were there on February 3rd, February 4th, and February 10th, did you have occasion to bring those items with you to court today?
Yes, I did.
And Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
Oh, we get to see the actual items? Oh, good. Do you think he'll change his gloves in between touching the items?
First, just ask if you recognize that box.
I do.
And what do you recognize that?
It's the box storing items logged into evidence as they relate to this case.
And Your Honor, with court's permission, may the sergeant open the box?
Yes.
Thank you.
It's a very expensive suit, I think.
Now,
He must make a lot of money.
Sergeant, with regard to the items, as far as plastic and or glass that you recovered from 34 Fairview Road on February 3rd, if you could locate those items.
Yes, Evil Queen Yaya, thank you so much for your super chat. Says, so I drove by just to see what would pop up. And he told his guys to do the same. And Scott wants to know if they were paid for their time because Scott's retired NYPD. If you're ahead, please, 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 no spoilers. We had to stop and take I was hysterically laughing, so we had to stop so I wouldn't laugh over the testimony.
And Sergeant, with respect to each of those bags, they contain items of evidentiary value, whether they be plastic or glass, that were recovered on February 3rd. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And I'm sorry, how many bags in total do you have there before you?
I have 3 bags, 2 containing broken glass and plastic, and a stirring straw, a broken red plastic and clear plastic, and a bag containing 1 black Boston Police Department hat.
Your Honor, the Commonwealth will seek to introduce in minutes the next 3 exhibits.
No objection.
Okay.
Is he not going to open them and do a little show and tell?
No particular order.
Oh, maybe he will. Will he change his gloves? Okay.
Your Honor, with respect to what's now been marked as Exhibit 537, with the court's permission, may the sergeant remove that item, the hat, from the bag and display for the jury.
Yes.
Tommy2274, I'm deleting your comment. Please don't put his nickname in the chat because it's one of those dirty words that YouTube doesn't like, and we don't want to get shadow banned. But thank you for participating in the chat. He's wearing cufflinks. He's got a French cuff shirt and cufflinks. It's a Nike hat. It's a Boston PD.
That back in the back.
It doesn't look like there's any blood on it to me. Did he say it was a Boston PD hat?
And Sergeant, from your observations of Mr. O'Keefe on surveillance video from both C.F. McCarthy's and the waterfall on January 29th, what, if any, similarities did you observe between the hat that you just displayed and located on the lawn of 34 Fairview Road and the hat Mr. O'Keefe is wearing in those videos?
It appears to be the same exact hat.
Now, Sergeant, with reference to the box of other items, if you could remove what, if any, items you recovered and seized from 34 Fairview Road on February 4th. And again, sir, just for the record, what's contained within that bag from February 4th?
Contained within the bag is a piece of red, hard plastic taillight cover.
Your Honor, the Commonwealth will seek to introduce and admit as the next exhibit.
No objection.
Thank you. Exhibit 538.
And lastly, Sergeant, with regard to the box, if you could remove the items that you seized from February 10th, 2022. And Sergeant, with respect to those two bags of items, if you could just inform the jury what is contained within those bags.
Bag labeled item number 10 contains 6 pieces of red, black, and clear plastic. Bag labeled number 11 is containing 14 pieces of glass and plastic fragments.
Thank you, Sergeant. Your Honor, the Commonwealth will seek to introduce and admit as the next two exhibits.
Any objection, Mr. Jackson?
I'm sorry. No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Exhibit 539 and 540.
I'm sorry, was that 539 and 540?
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Moving on from that, if I could bring you back just one last time to the ring videos from One Meadows Ave, as far as you had testified earlier that there was no video that you observed of the defendant, Ms. McCabe, and Ms. Roberts looking at the passenger side taillight area of the vehicle, correct?
That's correct.
Was there any video of the defendant, Ms. McCabe, and Ms. Roberts actually leaving from One Meadows Ave on that morning of January 29th?
There was not.
Now, as far as the videos that were not there, as far as the defendant, Ms. McCabe, Ms. Roberts leaving, the next video depicted Mr. Camerano arriving at the residence to pick up Ms. Furbush, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And with regard to the missing video of the defendant arriving at One Meadows Ave on January 29th, sometime after midnight, the video immediately preceding that, again, would have been Mr. Camerano arriving and picking up his daughter from One Meadows Avenue sometime around 11:30 p.m., correct?
That's correct.
And those videos were both present, correct?
That's correct.
If I could bring you back to February 3rd, 2022. On that date, did you have occasion to meet with a gentleman by the name of Brian Higgins?
Yes, I did.
And when you met with Mr. Higgins, who, if any, one from your office was with you when you met?
Trooper Mike Proctor was from my office present during that interview.
He was there too, of
And
course.
during the course of that interview, what, if any, documentation did Mr. Higgins provide you with?
Mr. Higgins provided me with a printout of a Celebrate extraction containing conversations via text message between him and Mr. John O'Keefe and between him and the defendant.
Oh, you mean the text messages that he cherry picked using FBI equipment because his best friend, Matt Kelch, taught him how to use the kiosk machine. And so Brian Higgins committed a federal crime by using that machinery or equipment for personal gain. You mean those things that he gave you that he printed up and gave you instead of giving you his phone? Oh, I see. So Celebrate in this case, because he just said it was Celebrate, it's going to be totally accurate, right? Totally accurate. But when we want to get to the Celebrate report on Haas Long to Die in Cold search made by Jen McCabe's phone at 2:27 a.m., Celebrate's not going to be accurate then, is it? Okay, gotcha. Just making sure.
He also provided a digital copy of the same extraction on a CD.
Now, what, if anything, did you advise Mr. Higgins of at that time as far as Mr. O'Keefe's phone and the defendant's phone?
I advised Mr. Higgins that we were in possession of both of those devices and would have the extraction and accurate documentation of those conversations.
Because he's not even involved in this investigation. He's a witness who happens to be a federal ATF agent, and you're giving him information about the investigation? Or are you just like telling him that so you're going to say, oh, well, we're going to know if you're lying because we have both of their phones. So if you left anything out, we're going to compare them and you're going to be in big trouble? Do law enforcement usually tell witnesses what they've got? I don't know.
And did he seem to understand that when you told him?
Yes, he understood it.
Objection.
Sustained.
Move to strike.
Strike that.
Yeah, how do you know what he understood?
Now, also on February 3rd, at some point, did you have occasion to go inside of 34 Fairview Road?
Yes, I did.
And who, if anyone, did you interview inside of 34 Fairview Road on that date?
I interviewed Mrs. Albert.
That would be, just for the record, Nicole Albert, is that correct?
That's correct.
And who, if anyone, was present with you during that interview of Nicole Albert?
It was Trooper Mike Proctor was present with me.
Anybody else from the Albert family present in the home or present during the course of that interview?
Mr. Brian Albert was also present. I don't know who else exactly was present in the home. I just know that those two residents were in the room with us.
And where was Brian Albert at the time that you conducted the interview of Nicole Albert?
In the room with us, seated next to her.
Group interview.
Now, with reference to,
That's not the answer Lally
I
wanted.
asked you just a little bit about sort of the interview process as far as the interviews that you conducted in this case.
Yes.
If you could describe for the jury, starting with sort of how many people from your unit are present for a given interview and how those interviews are conducted.
We conduct interviews always at pairs. I think I mentioned it yesterday. Typically, during a regular investigation into a homicide or any death investigation, we pair up our troopers with a local detective. In this instance, since Canton had recused themselves from interview portion of the investigation, they were not going to provide manpower for those interviews to be conducted. Thus, we had to utilize only troopers from our office in order to conduct those interviews.
But they did provide manpower to drive by 34 Fairview and find more evidence for you, didn't they? So either they recused themselves and they were out and they're not going to provide manpower, or they are going to provide manpower. Which is it? Pick a lane, dude. Pick a lane. Wow.
And typically, obviously not perfect, but as far as the interviews that you were present for, about how long a period of time, generally speaking, were the interviews that you conducted in this case?
From my experience, I have learned that to
Why is the
fully
judge letting-
communicate a course of recollection of events that an individual observes, experiences, or is aware of, and understand every detail of that experience, it would take approximately 45 minutes at a minimum to conduct a full interview
After formal
with a
introductions.
witness in detail.
So just
Now,
allow
sir,
his
if
custom
I
and
could,
practice to come in.
Turn your attention to June 9th of 2022. On that date, at some point, did you have occasion to meet with the defendant?
Yes, I did.
And at some point during that meeting, did you have conversation with the defendant?
Yes, I did.
And was that conversation, or at least portions of it, memorialized in any way?
Yes, it was.
Oh,
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
okay. So is it your custom and practice to record witness interviews? I mean, you told us your custom and practice that they're usually 45 minutes long, and you always conduct your interviews in pairs, usually with a local detective. But in this case, Canton PD was conflicted out. So I was definitely always with Proctor when he did these interviews. You conduct the interviews in pairs with another officer, but do you conduct them in pairs with witnesses too? June 9th of 2022 is, I believe, the day that Karen was upgraded on her charges. So is he going to introduce this body cam video? That's interesting. And it's not your custom and practice. Usually you take 45 minutes for an interview. Do you take notes? Do you memorialize them? Do you turn on the voice record app on your phone? Do you videotape them in any way? Do you have the witness sign them? The only custom and practice you're able to tell us about right now is that you do interviews in pairs and that they usually last around 45 minutes so that you can get a full narrative of the events. Okay.
I'm showing you a disc. Does that contain an audio recording, to the best of your knowledge? Does that contain an audio recording of a portion of your conversation with Ms. Reed on June 9th, 2022?
Yes, it
Can't
does.
wait to hear it.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
I'm about to seek to introduce the minutes of the next exhibit.
All right. No objection, Mr. Jackson? All right, folks, before we play this again, please be mindful of the instruction from yesterday. So you're about to hear statements allegedly made by the defendant, allegedly concerning the crimes with which she's charged in this case. Before you can consider any such statement as evidence, the Commonwealth must prove to you beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant made the statement she's alleged to have made and that she made it voluntarily, freely, and rationally. In determining whether the statement made by the defendant was voluntary or not, you may consider all the surrounding circumstances. These include when and where the statement was made, the nature of any conversations with the police or any questioning by the police, the defendant's physical and mental condition, including her intelligence, age, education, experience, and personality. Your decision does not turn upon any one factor, and you must consider the totality of the surrounding circumstances.
Thank you, Right Son. I'm going to use
Recording
Sergeant
permission, may we
Beatnik for
publish
his
that
nickname.
folder at this time?
Yes, do you want to turn off the air conditioning? Is this very short, right?
It is very short, and if we could, please, yes.
Uh-oh. Jurors are going to get upset. They don't like it when it's on there. No spoilers, please.
And this is just audio, correct?
Oh, that's right. They're not going to show the video portion because it shows her in custody, even though it doesn't really show her in custody because you can't see her face. It just has the body cam looking at the computer.
We're all in on the same joke, right? My tail light was cracked and John was pulverized.
Thank you.
I'm going to rewind that and I'm going to repeat it to you in case you can't hear it. We saw this in pretrial motions, this video.
Okay, you're aware he was beaten up by Brian and Colin Albert.
You're aware that he was You're aware that he was beaten up by Brian and Colin Albert. This is Karen speaking.
We're all in on the same joke, right?
We're all in on the same joke, right?
My tail light was cracked and John was pulverized.
My taillight was cracked and John was pulverized. This tells me that she was aware in June, this was made in June 9th of 2022, that Brian and Colin, I don't think she said, what did she say which Brian? Hold on, wait a second.
You're aware he was beaten up by Brian and Colin Albert.
Brian and Colin Albert. So I guess that's what she's saying. So some people think that the defense didn't come up with this theory until Alan Jackson got involved in the case. He was not involved in the case in June of 2022, to my knowledge. So this has been a theory of the defense from very, very early on. And you will remember that when Karen was first arrested on February 1st and arraigned on February 2nd of 2022, the media was told that there was ring footage of the incident of Karen hitting John with her car. That ring video has never surfaced and it doesn't exist.
We're all in on the same joke, right? My tail light was cracked and John pulverized.
Thank you. Now, Sergeant, upon hearing that statement,
The reason they didn't want the audio shown was because it showed Karen in custody and they didn't want the jury to see that. And plus, you couldn't see Karen's face anyway.
from the defendant, what was your reaction?
Objection.
Sustained.
On hearing that statement, what, if anything, did you do?
I advised the defendant not to further speak.
Objection.
I'll allow that.
Of course you will.
Now, at some point over the course of your investigation, were you made aware of forensic findings relating to the defendant's tail,
Yes, I was.
and specifically DNA findings,
Yes.
and specifically that there were
Objection.
Sustained. Yes. You can turn the air conditioner.
You can turn the air conditioning back on. We're all in on the same joke, right? Brian and Colin Albert beat him up. My taillight was cracked and John was pulverized. And then he claims that he told her to stop talking. Let's fast forward a little bit of this.
I'm back. Have one moment.
Yes.
Take all the moments, Mr.
On
Lally.
January 16th. So Sergeant Buchanek, on January 16th, 2024, at some point in that day, did you meet with a Sergeant Gallerani of the Needham Police Department?
I did.
And who, if anyone else, well, let me ask you this. As far as any other troopers from your office, who, if anyone else, was there with yourself and Sergeant Gallerani?
Trooper Mike Proctor.
And what was the purpose of your meeting with Sergeant Gallerani, Trooper Proctor, on that morning?
Collection of our DNA.
And was that something that you did voluntarily?
Yes.
And how was it that the sergeant collected your DNA?
Through a buccal swab.
No, I don't think it was done voluntarily. There was a motion. We went over this pretrial motion because there was unknown male DNA on parts of the evidence. And the defense made a motion to get the DNA of Proctor and Buchanek. But he wants you to think that he volunteered. He just volunteered to give up his DNA. Am I losing it? Didn't we cover this motion? Okay.
And were you present when Trooper Proctor submitted to a buccal swab as well?
Yes, I was.
And then as far as the swabbings that were taken from both yourself and Trooper Proctor, were those logged into evidence by you, or did Sergeant Gallerani take them with him when he left?
Sergeant Gallerani took him with it when he left.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
Castro Valley, why would you tell a suspect to stop talking? Because she was pointing the fingers at the Alberts. That's why he was telling her to stop talking. Also, they arrested her, hauled her down to the station without calling her attorney as a courtesy. They knew she was represented by Yannetti since her first arraignment. So this would have been her second arrest and arraignment. And they did not contact Yannetti as a courtesy, which is typically always done. There's so many things are sus about this.
My apologies, Your Honor.
That's okay.
It's okay, Lally. You can do no wrong in my eyes. In the
Thank you very
land
much,
of
sir.
Lally.
Your Honor, I have no further questions.
Okay.
Oh, we're gonna get
Cross-examination?
Thank you, Your Honor. Sergeant Buchanek, I want to start with one of the latter things that you discussed with Mr. Lally, and that's specific to the ring video that y'all talked about this morning. Do you have that in mind?
I do.
the search warrant that produced, and just so we're clear, I'm talking about the specific Ring video or series of videos that were associated with One Meadows, John O'Keefe's home.
Okay.
Okay.
Demeanor
You didn't write the
change?
search warrant for those Ring videos, did you?
I did not.
You were not the affiant for those search warrants.
I was not.
Who was the author of the search warrant and the affiant?
It was Trooper Mike Proctor.
Who received the actual Ring video or videos from the Ring Corporation?
It was Trooper Mike Proctor received it.
And who ultimately either logged those into evidence or controlled those once they were received from the Ring Corporation?
I believe it was Trooper Mike Proctor.
And ultimately, Sergeant Bukhenik, you did note that in addition to just the physical videos themselves, that login information and login keystrokes, et cetera, were requested from the Ring Corporation as well, correct?
There was discussion with Ring asking for those logs.
I'll call it, is it correct to say an activity log?
That's what was requested, yes, activity log, yes.
So ultimately, the activity log would show who logs in, who accesses the data, things of that nature, correct? Or at least that was the hope.
That is what was requested.
All right. It would also show logging in and executing deletions, manipulating the log files, things of that nature, correct?
That is what was requested, yes.
When you reviewed those log or activity logs, there was no evidence revealed that my client ever logged into that account, correct?
There was no activity logs provided by Ring.
So you have zero, hang on. Isn't it true that Ring contacted Trooper Proctor and indicated that they had created a Dropbox folder that contained the evidence that had been sought in the search warrant?
Objection.
Sustained.
What?
Isn't it true that the search warrant return specified account information, video recordings, and number 3, activity logs associated with the video recordings are all times displayed in UTC?
I'm not aware of that, no.
Do you recall that activity logs were in fact provided from the Ring Corporation?
I do not recall that, no.
Okay. May I approach briefly?
Yes.
Third paragraph down, the middle of the page. At that paragraph, which my finger's on, it's about the 3rd paragraph down, the middle of the page, and review that to yourself and let me know when you're finished.
Welcome, David Lucy. Oh, he's taking his time.
Have you had an opportunity to review that?
Yes.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you. Does this refresh your recollection as to the items received from the Ring Corporation?
That is the first time I saw that document, so it does not refresh my recollection. I simply read it.
Oh,
So do you have a recollection as you sit here that in fact during the course of your investigation, the 3 items that you received from the Ring Corporation were the account information, the video recordings, and quote, activity logs associated with the video recordings, all times displayed in UTC?
To the extent of its availability, as it says in that document.
Okay. The long and short of it is, during the entire course of your investigation, you never revealed that investigation never revealed any evidence whatsoever that my client ever even accessed the account information for the Ring account associated with this search warrant, correct?
Nothing provided by Ring proved or suggested or proved any evidence of that type of activity, no.
Trooper Proctor, you were notified.
I am not Trooper Proctor.
I'm sorry. No, you're not. Sergeant Buchnick.
Sergeant Buchanek.
How do I say it?
Buchanek.
Okay, well, we've learned how to pronounce his name. It's Buchanek. I am not Trooper Proctor. No, sir, but you're sitting in the chair where he should be, and you're testifying to all the things that, he should be testifying to. So please excuse my error. Oh, he's getting haughty now. I don't know if that was intentional or if that was by accident, but I'm here for it. I'm living for it. I got to hear that again.
Everything no.
Thank you.
Here it is.
Trooper Proctor, you were notified.
I am not Trooper Proctor.
I'm sorry. No, you're not. Sergeant Buchnick.
Sergeant Buchanek.
How do I say it?
Buchanek.
I'll give that
Can't.
a shot.
It's fine.
Buchanek?
Yes,
Is that better?
that's better. Thank you.
If I screw it up again, please. On January 29th, you were notified about a Boston police officer found gravely injured outside the home of 34 Fairview at about 6:40 in the morning. Was that your testimony?
That is not.
What time were you notified?
I was not notified it was a Boston police officer.
So you didn't have that information upon the first notification?
I did not.
Okay, what information did you have?
There was a male party in the snowbank, possibly of a heart attack.
At what point did you learn that the individual was, in fact, a sworn Boston police officer?
Oh, is your memory exhausted on this too?
I do not know exactly when I learned that he was a Boston police officer.
I think it was during that day or the following day.
It was most likely that day, either. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Most likely.
Trooper Proctor was ultimately assigned as the, what did you call him? Not lead investigator, but case officer?
That's correct.
He was assigned on the 29th, correct?
He was on call from 7 a.m. on January 28th until 7 a.m. on January 29th.
So his assignment was, he was assigned on the 29th because he was on call.
He was on call. His assignment took effect when the schedule came out back in mid-December.
Okay. Well, he wouldn't be assigned to this investigation until there was a need for the investigation, right? And that's all I'm getting to. I mean, once the call came in, he was the assigned case agent.
Once the calls come in, the person that's on call is automatically assigned that case.
All right. Did you personally, as his supervisor, did you personally respond to 34 Fairview at any point on January 29th?
No, I did not.
Did Trooper Proctor, at your direction or on his own, ever respond to 34 Fairview Road at any time on January 29th?
No, he did not.
Based on your initial investigation, and I'm talking about going way back, Sergeant, on your initial investigation, by 10 or 10:30 in the morning, 10:40 in the morning, it was your belief that Mr. O'Keefe had been struck in the face by a person. That was your initial understanding of the circumstances surrounding the investigation, correct?
My initial understanding was that the defendant stated that she hit him. We did not know the...
Sergeant, you hadn't even met my client at that point. You hadn't interviewed a single witness by 10:41 in the morning, correct? Not one witness.
That's not correct. We had already interviewed the first responders.
Okay, when I say witness, I'm talking about civilian witnesses. So at 10:41, you hadn't interviewed a person at 34 Fairview or associated civilians associated with this incident, correct?
At that point, no civilians have been interviewed, no.
But at 10:41, Sergeant, you contacted Good Samaritan Hospital to inform them that, quote, Mr. O'Keefe was struck in the face with a cocktail glass, end quote, correct?
I do not recall contacting Good Samaritan Hospital.
May I approach?
Yes.
What? Is your memory exhausted? He doesn't even remember when he found out that John O'Keefe was a Boston police officer. All he did was respond. He knew he was responding to a male party unresponsive in the snow. There's a
I'd like
man
you
passed
to
out in the snow.
Take a look at this document. If you
Disgraceful.
wouldn't mind, pay special attention to the second page, the bottom paragraph where it's tabbed in pink.
He's like, I've already seen this. I don't even need to look at it. See? He's not going to look at it very long. Oh, the thinker. That's the pose, the thinker. Oh, crap. What do I do now? Oh, boy. I think they got me. How do I weasel my way out of this one? This is not on the script. I'm going to have to pull out some improv here. I'm going to have to use some stuff out of my improv class. What did I learn? What did I learn? Yes, and. Okay, how's that going to work here? Yes, and. I'm going to have to say no, but, and then give an explanation for this because they might have got me. It's not Candyland anymore, sir. Not in Candyland anymore. Might have moved on to the board game called Trouble. Maybe bingo after this, if we're lucky. I can't fast forward for this through this because it's too good. Stalling, Risk, the game of Risk. Yep. I think this stream might be board games. Clue, Risk, Trouble, Parcheesi, Bingo, Candyland, Operation. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. The Ouija board. Jason with the Ouija board, Chinese checkers. Oh my gosh. Boggle. Remember Boggle? There's another one. Boggle.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Can't wait. He's
Having
peacocking.
reviewed this, does this refresh your recollection that you contacted Good Samaritan Hospital and gave them an assessment, at least based on your investigation at that time?
That is not true.
What did you say to Good Samaritan Hospital?
I never spoke to Good Samaritan Hospital. That document is for the medical examiner's office.
I'm not asking you where the document is from. I'm asking you if the document says Trooper YURIY Bukhenik called back at 10:41 stating the case is now being treated as a suspicion.
The objection sustained.
Did you call back to Good Samaritan Hospital and say that the investigation was being treated as a suspicious due to a domestic situation? Did you say that?
I never spoke to Good Samaritan Hospital.
Did
So
you say that there's a possibility that D was struck in the face with a cocktail glass?
Objection.
Sustained.
Did you?
you need to be very careful here, Yuri, because if you're going to call the medical examiner a liar, then nobody is going to believe a thing the medical examiner has to say. So if you're saying this is in the medical examiner's report, that you called back at 10:41 to tell the hospital this was being treated as a domestic, and now you're going to say you never said that, but it's in the ME's report, you better be very careful. But go ahead. Give me some shovel emojis in the chat because he's going to dig himself in a hole that he's not going to be able to get out of.
Ever contact anybody at any medical facility and indicate that the investigation was being treated as a suspicious, in quotation marks, because the victim appeared to have been struck in the face by a cocktail glass?
Objection.
Allow that. Did you ever say that?
Yes, Your Honor. Yes, I did say that to the medical examiner's operations desk.
Okay, so when I was asking you if you ever sent it to Good Sam, you said, no, that's not true. That's never happened. You were correcting me on the fact that it happened at the medical examiner's office, not at Good Sam.
I responded and answered your question honestly, yes.
Okay, so honestly, you did, in fact, at 10:41 a.m. indicate to another professional involved in the investigation that the circumstance was being treated as a physical assault at that point, correct?
I communicated our suspicions to the medical examiner's office.
And that was at 10:41 or thereabouts in the morning, correct?
That's correct.
Your initial investigation during those obviously critical hours, the beginning hours, led you to believe that there was at least a good possibility, you indicated that you made a phone call, that it was a physical altercation that led to John O'Keefe's death, correct?
That's correct, yes.
What steps did you take, sir, in those moments, to determine whether someone in the house at 34 Fairview may have been involved in that physical altercation that you suspected at the time?
As investigations develop,
No.
we
Okay, go on.
followed the evidence and statements made. The steps I took was Trooper Proctor and I proceeded to an eyewitness who was also present at the scene when the victim was discovered and interviewed Ms. McCabe.
And prior to that, prior to interviewing Ms. McCabe, by the way, that was at Ms. McCabe's home, correct?
That's correct, yes.
Even though you believe that there may have been a physical altercation, you didn't ask anybody to come down to the station. Is that right?
No.
Any of the witnesses?
That's correct.
And you did not seek to actually go to the physical location of 34 Fairview in those next few hours
That's correct.
or the next few days, correct?
Not myself, no.
Okay. As a matter of fact, Trooper Proctor did not either, did he?
No, he did not.
Oh,
You didn't secure the interior of the house as a potential crime scene. You certainly know how to do that, right?
That's a cop-out question. Do you want me to answer whether I did it or whether I know how to do it?
you SOB.
Well, I'll ask the question.
That's a cop-out question? Okay. Funny you use the term cop. No pun intended. Let's hear what he's calling a cop-out question.
Potential crime scene. You certainly know how to. You didn't secure the interior of the house as a potential crime scene. You certainly know how to do that, right?
That's a cop-out question. Do you want me to answer whether I did it or
Marmy,
whether I
SOB.
know how to do it?
Well, I'll ask the question. If you can answer it, please answer it.
Okay.
Can you answer that question?
I can answer that question.
Why don't you answer both of them then?
First portion is we did not secure the home as a crime scene. And the second portion, yes, I do know how to do that.
And you didn't, as a Massachusetts State Police official, you didn't secure the outside as a crime scene either, did you?
I did not know.
Did anyone?
To your knowledge, nobody else from Massachusetts State Police ever did either, did they?
Yes, they did.
How was that done and when?
When members of our office and the CERT team responded to that location and secured the front yard grass area and processed it.
That was at 5:45, 6 o'clock that night on the 29th?
I believe it was earlier, but I was not present, so I can't testify to the time.
So you don't know personally what they did to quote unquote secure or not secure the crime scene. You know they searched it, but in terms of securing it as a crime scene, you don't have personal knowledge to that.
I was not present.
You never took any photos of the interior of the house, correct?
I did not know.
You never caused CSSS to go inside the house and process that house as a potential crime scene, correct?
I did not know.
No forensic criminalist at your direction ever went into 34 Fairview?
No, they did not.
And the people that you interviewed on January 29th, you already mentioned Ms. McCabe. The other people were her husband, Matt McCabe, correct?
That's correct.
And her brother-in-law, Brian Albert. Is that right?
That is correct.
And all three of them were interviewed where?
They were interviewed at the McCabe residence.
Now, yesterday when you testified, did you indicate that Brian Albert was not present in the home when you interviewed Matt McCabe and Jennifer McCabe?
He was not present in the dining room when we were interviewing each individual separately.
That's not what he said
All
yesterday.
three of them testified that he arrived before you arrived. They would all be wrong.
I did not see him in the home when we arrived, no.
I want to switch gears real quick to a couple of the physical items that you testified about yesterday, specifically the gray shirt or the gray hoodie and the orange shirt. You and Trooper Proctor collected both of those items you indicated from the floor of the hospital at Good Samaritan, correct?
That's correct.
You testified that you and Trooper Proctor immediately bagged both of those items. They were sort of sopping wet, I think you said.
That's correct.
You indicated that the bags were so wet that you had to take the items back out of the bags and then lay them out on, I think you said, butcher paper. Is that right?
The items were soaked and wet. They were bagged, double bagged, to prevent leakage of physiological fluids and the moisture coming off of it. And then once they were transported to the office, they were laid out on butcher paper in order to dry naturally.
So you went from Good Samaritan directly to Dighton, correct?
That is correct.
And then you went from Dighton directly to the Canton Police Department, after which you had seized the vehicle, correct? And the phone.
We seized the phone in the vehicle in Dighton and then followed the tow truck straight to the Canton Police Department.
So at some point, if you had received or gathered the wet clothing at Good Sam, went from Good Sam to Dighton Canton PD, at what point that evening did you finally get those items of clothing out and laid out to dry?
It was late that night, around 10 or so.
So where were the items in the meantime?
They were stored in the back passenger compartment of my pickup truck.
In those double bags?
Correct.
Who took control of the items to then lay them out late that night at the office?
I do not recall.
Is that you or Trooper Proctor?
I don't recall. I don't remember.
At some point, obviously, it was getting late. You'd been on duty for a long time that day. You went home at some point, correct?
At some point, yes.
Did you wait for those clothes to dry before you went home, or did you leave that in Trooper Proctor's hands?
No, once they were laid out in the processing area in the office, we went home.
Okay. Who would have controlled those items of evidence when you left?
Well, they're under lock and key within the secure area of the district attorney's office, so they're
The district
secured.
attorney's
Nobody's
office?
in physical control watching guard over them.
Or
Who had
Canton
access
PD?
to that area?
Troopers in our office.
Meaning you, obviously.
Yes.
Supervisor. Trooper Proctor as well, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Ultimately, given the fact that he was the case officer, sort of in charge, the lead, he would have bagged those items up, been responsible for taking those items, tagging them, getting them stored wherever they needed to be stored and processed, correct?
As a case officer, he could direct other people to perform those tasks for him. The evidence officers in the office log in the evidence, and once it was dried, it was sealed up, bagged, and put into storage. As far as who actually performed those tasks, I do not know.
Well, yesterday, Your Honor, may I approach the course, right? There's a couple of evidence.
Oh, sure, go ahead.
Thank you. For familiarity's sake, do you recognize these two bags as bags that you brought to court with you yesterday?
They look familiar, yes.
Okay. This one has a 437 on it on my right. The one on my left has a 438 on it. May I approach it briefly?
Yes.
I'm not going to ask you to open those. Don't worry about gloving up at this point. The bag on your left, which one is that? 437 or 438?
The bag on my left is 437.
437. Okay. And you indicated that those items were bagged after the clothing was dried and then ultimately processed in, logged in, correct?
Once the items dried, they were bagged and logged in, waiting processing, yes.
But you didn't personally do that.
No, I did not, no.
Matter of fact, looking at the bag on your right, what's been marked as Exhibit 430, help me, 438, thank you. That one has some writing on it, correct?
Yes, it has a lot of handwriting on it, yes.
And that, whose handwriting is that?
I don't know.
You've seen Trooper Proctor's handwriting 1,000 times, I guess, correct?
Not 1,000 times, but
Does it look like his writing?
Semantics.
it says Trooper Proctor on it, but other than that, I do not know what Trooper Proctor's handwriting looks like.
All right. It indicates that Trooper Proctor is the one that bagged that item or those items up, correct?
Yes, this bag indicates that the item was collected by Trooper Proctor on 129
Right.
at 10.
And it says Brockton, correct?
Good Samaritan Hospital in Brockton, yes.
That was, you just took the question out of my mouth. That's where Good Samaritan Hospital is, correct?
That's correct.
And there's a tag or a printed label, looks like a label maker of some sort, that is on that physical bag, correct?
Yes.
Before we get to that, what's the description on that bag in handwriting?
I'm sorry, can you be specific as to description of what or?
Where it says description of items.
Description of enclosed evidence?
Correct.
It says 1 orange t-shirt, 1 gray long sleeve shirt.
Okay. So may I approach, Your Honor?
Both in the same bag.
Before I do that, just so I close this loop, what's the description on the bag to your left, the one that looks like it's less sprinkled?
Number 437.
Yes, if you would read the same clothing description.
The description of enclosed evidence states sweatshirt with recovered items inside container.
Okay. May I approach now?
Yes.
Thank you. Yesterday when you opened, keep my voice up. Yesterday when you opened these two bags, this one, 437, has the gray sweatshirt in it. 438 has the orange t-shirt in it now, correct?
Which the
That's where it was
bags?
in the bag, yes.
All right. However, the bag indicates at one point, this bag, 438, the physical bag I'm holding in my left hand, had both the sweatshirt and the t-shirt together, correct?
That's what the description is. I do not know if that was in case or in fact the case.
Well, then we need to have Michael Proctor called to the stand, don't we? Don't we?
The
So
reason you don't know is because you're not the one that bagged it. Trooper Proctor did, correct?
The reason I don't know is I wasn't present during the separation of those items, and I did not observe it taking place, nor was I made aware of how the items were separated or when.
You are aware, however, that tag that's on the label maker looking tag, the white tag that's on that bag indicates that indicates a date of February 4th, correct?
You'd have to bring that back up.
I'm
I
sorry,
didn't
Great.
take note of that.
Happy to.
my fault.
You took the words right out of my mouth. Oh, it must have been when you were
And the
kissed.
date associated with that tag.
The label maker tag does have the date February 4th, 2022 on bag number exhibit 438.
May I approach?
Yes.
It wasn't me. It's the Shaggy case that the Commonwealth is trying. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. Correct, CG. The forensics person said all the items were in
That's
one bag.
obviously 6 days after the item was actually recovered on the 29th, correct?
Yes, it is.
So that indicates, at least based on that tag, that that item was not booked into evidence and processed until 6 days after it was actually recovered on the floor at Good Samaritan Hospital. Is that right?
The date indicates February 4th, 2022.
Right. And that date would be indicative, in your experience, of the date that is moved into processing by some other folks, the evidence sergeants or whomever, or the evidence officers rather, or whomever, correct?
I can't speak to their procedures as far as when they print the date.
Oh.
That date could be when they printed the label. but the bag might have been tagged otherwise. I do not know that.
But there's no other tag on that bag that suggests an earlier date, correct?
There's just that one tag from the label maker.
My
I don't know. I only know what they told me to say. Now you're confusing me. So now I don't know anything.
question to you, if you know, sir, and you may not know, is what was happening to these items between January 29th, after you lost sight of them that night on the butcher paper, and February 4th, when that tag indicates that they were first processed?
To the best of my knowledge, those items were drying on the butcher paper.
For 6 days?
It was humid.
If that's what the label maker says, yes, for 6 days.
The label
They were
maker.
soaking wet.
And those would have been certainly accessible to and in the possession of the lead case officer in the case, it was Trooper Proctor.
Case
Right.
officer.
Yes, if Trooper Proctor needed to review those items, he would have access to those items. Absolutely.
And you're also aware that the first actual log of any chain of custody for those items is March 14th, when they were finally submitted 6 weeks later to the crime lab.
Yeah, it doesn't look good.
That is not true. The first actual log of those items is when we collected them from the hospital.
Where's the log? I'm talking about a physical log, like sign in, sign out log. Where's the log?
It's documented in the reports saying that we collected them.
I know that there's a report. Anybody can write a report, right? I can write a report. Doesn't mean anything. I'm asking for a log.
Objection.
So the objection sustained.
Okay. Of course it's the same.
Obviously, when items move in
There's
and
no
out of
log.
people's custody in an official capacity for the Massachusetts State Police, there's a log of that, correct?
It's documented. Yes,
Or at least it should be, correct?
it's documented.
Where's the log of these items before March 14th?
It's documented in the report.
Oh,
There is no log, is there, Sergeant?
I do not know.
Um,
oh, you don't
I want to
know.
talk a little bit about
Okay.
some searches that Mr. Lally asked you about, February 4th and February 10th, very specifically. Both of those searches you were involved with out at 34 Fairview, correct?
Correct.
But Sergeant, you didn't personally write a report about your conduct at 34 Fairview on either of those 2 days. In other words, you didn't go back to the station and generate a report yourself.
I don't recall doing that now.
There were no photos that you took of the items at the location.
I did.
Somebody else took photos, correct?
I did not take photos of the items. no.
Okay. And the first report that indicates anything that happened or was recovered at the location on either February 4th or February 10th, that was first notated in a report dated November 4th, 2023.
What?
Year and a half, year and several months later, correct?
What?
If you say so, I do not know the exact date. That report would have to be presented to me.
May I approach?
Yes.
If you say so. Oh, AJ, you got him now because now he's just going to say, if you say so to every question.
You don't have to read the whole thing, but if you can skip to the
So
part
these
that talks
undocumented
about the
searches
February
from
4th and
February were
February 10th
not
searches.
notated in any report until November of 2023, right around the time that the defense has been screaming for all of these items of discovery. There were a lot of motion hearings in November,
I'm sorry,
I believe.
I didn't realize you were finished already.
At least
What's
one
the
big
date of
one.
that? Well, let me ask a foundational question. Does that refresh your recollection as to the date of the report that actually talks about the February 4th and February 10th searches?
It does.
And what's the date of that report, sir?
This report is dated November 4th, 2023.
Thank you. May I approach?
Yes.
Wow.
Thank you.
Just
Now-
wow.
As it relates to those 2 searches, I'd like to ask you a little bit about the February 4th search first. You indicated that you actually responded to 34 Fairview personally, correct?
I was responding to that location on my own. I personally responded, yes.
Okay. That was because you had received information that Chief Berkowitz had seen something or found something. Is that right? Chief
That-
Berkowitz from Canton PD.
That is not correct, no.
Okay, so when you got there, was Chief Berkowitz there?
Yes, he was.
You just happened to go by 34 Fairview at the exact same time on the exact same date as Chief Berkowitz, or was that coordinated in some way?
There was no coordination between me and Chief Berkowitz. As I testified, I had directed the troopers to go by the location. I planned to go by the location in the morning on the way to the office and in the afternoon on the way home, just to see if any more items would reveal themselves. So that morning, I was actually traveling to that location in order to conduct a view of the area to see if any more evidence had been revealed. Prior to my arrival, approximately while I was on Chapman Street, I received a call indicating that Chief Berkowitz was at the location, yes.
And was there also an Officer Lank, Sergeant Lank?
I do not know if Sergeant Lank was there, no.
Okay.
So you guys had a list of things that you needed to find. It was on the scavenger hunt list. And you were just going to drive by to see if any evidence had revealed itself. Because that's what evidence does, just reveals itself from the great beyond. It's like a scavenger hunt, and they've got the items of what they need to retrieve. All right, guys, we need a sneaker. We need taillight pieces. We need a hat. Go. Got to do a grid search. You got to do a grid search. But from every day forward, you need to drive by to see if any more evidence will reveal itself. It's like a scavenger hunt.
Chief Berkowitz certainly was there.
Yes,
And Chief Berkowitz indicated that as he was driving by, he saw a piece of plastic
yes.
Of course he did.
and stopped his car and then started making phone calls.
I believe that's what he indicated to the caller, yes.
The
Did
caller.
you question Chief Berkowitz about why he was driving by the location in the first place?
Absolutely not.
Okay, you knew at that point that the Canton Police Department had been recused because of at least an appearance or potential for conflict of interest, correct?
I knew they recused themselves due to only in respect to interviews. They didn't want to conduct interviews with
They
us
could
side by side.
search for evidence?
If there's a conflict of interest, Sergeant, for a department, conducting the interviews is just one aspect of an investigation, correct?
I'm not going to speak to a conflict of interest, but yes, conducting an interview is just one aspect of the investigation, yes.
So is it your testimony that your understanding was they couldn't conduct interviews, but they could collect evidence, store evidence, write search warrants, get returns on search warrants, execute search warrants, conduct searches? They could do all that, but not conduct interviews?
My understanding was they were recusing themselves from conducting interviews. They still allowed us to use their facilities. We utilized their conference room to conduct interviews. There was evidence being stored at their Sallyport, being the vehicle. So that was my understanding.
It seems that you don't know about
Is it true that you
what a
knew
conflict is.
that the entirety of the Canton Police Department had recused itself because of a familiarity between one of their members, Kevin Albert, and the Albert family on whose lawn John O'Keefe was found? That was the conflict, correct?
I knew that that was the connection between them, yes.
And you understood, sir, that that agency was to have nothing, from an investigative standpoint, nothing to do with this investigation, correct?
They were not conducting the investigation, no.
Damned if you do.
Trooper Proctor and you supervising him, y'all were conducting the investigation, right?
Our office was conducting the investigation.
So did you find it unusual or suspicious in any way that the chief of police for the conflicted Canton PD was the person driving by 34 Fairview looking for evidence?
Objection.
Can you answer that question, Sergeant?
He would have to repeat it. There's just so much I can't.
It was a little wordy. I'll try it again. Did you find that suspicious?
Which part? You have to repeat the whole thing.
That Chief Berkowitz from the conflicted Canton PD was at 34 Fairview looking for evidence?
Did you
The
find
way
it
you posed the
suspicious?
question, I did not find it suspicious at all. He's the chief of the police in the town where he works, and he's driving down the street. I mean, that's not suspicious.
With a conflict of interest on the very case that he's driving by.
Well,
Objection.
that's why he called me.
Sustained.
you certainly knew as a supervisor over the case officer that any involvement by Canton Police Department, given the fact that there's a potential conflict, any involvement by them could compromise your otherwise clean investigation. You knew that, right?
Not necessarily, no.
Did Chief Berkowitz disclose to you that morning on February 4th that he had been communicating with Brian Higgins and Brian Albert, two witnesses on your case that morning?
Objection.
Sustained.
Jury heard it.
If you knew information about communication between and among Canton PD and your witnesses, you would find that inappropriate, would you not?
Objection.
Sustained.
You returned to the scene on February 10th, is that right? To conduct another search, you said.
I was present on the 10th, yes.
On the 10th. Crank anchors. I always think of that. On the 10th. Should have sent it on the 10th. Crank anchors. So the jury has just heard that there were communications that day. Chief Berkowitz just happened to be driving by and found a big piece of taillight on the lawn, that there were communications between Chief Berkowitz and Brian Higgins and Brian Albert on that day. The objections were sustained. However, the jury's heard it. It's in their minds now. What were those three talking about?
Who dispatched you back to, or did anybody dispatch you back to that location on February 10th? How did you end up there is a better way to ask it.
February 10th, just like previous days, we made plans to go to the location in the morning, in the afternoon, drive by. I was on my way to work and to home. So I traveled that route on purpose. And as evidence revealed itself due to the natural melting of the snow, we would stop and collect the visible evidence.
You believed at this point, sir, that whatever you might collect at the scene would obviously be important, correct?
Anything we collected that had evidentiary value or presented itself as somehow related to the crime or the incident would be collected.
And it would be important to the investigation, right? You treat it as important.
It is important, yes.
So my question is, was, especially as it relates to the February 10th search, where there were multiple items found, did you seek to have CSSS come out and actually either mark with GPS coordinates or measure with cross coordinates exactly where each item of evidence was found?
We did not do that. We had collected so much evidence already, and so much has been documented at that point that we did not contact crime scene services to come back out and photograph more shards of glass and plastic. We simply collected it for processing.
So the location.
Wow. Wow. Did you see him looking right at the jury? We had collected so much evidence on our double drive-bys a day. Because we, as a matter of course, drove by there twice a day. We did a drive-by, morning and night, on my way home and on my way there, because it's on my way home. Those were planned drive-bys. We collected so much evidence that it wasn't important to call the crime scene team in just to take pictures of some more pieces of evidence. Wow. I got to hear that answer again. As he looks at the jury to try and get them to believe what he's saying, we already have so much evidence against her that it wasn't important to have it properly documented.
The cross coordinates exactly where each item of evidence was found?
Doesn't matter where it was found.
We did not do that. We had collected so much evidence already, and so much has been documented at that point that we did not contact crime scene services to come back out and photograph more shards of glass and plastic.
Okay.
We simply collected it for processing.
Yeah. This is the murder investigation of a dead brother in blue. Sir, a fellow brother in blue. And you don't think it's important to document exactly where the evidence is found? You should be ashamed of yourself. You should be ashamed of yourself that this is your murder investigation of a dead Boston police officer. Shame on you. We are outraged. No big whoop. This is triggering me too. Somebody said they're getting triggered.
So the location of each one of those items was not of that great importance to you, at least at that time?
It was of great importance as to the fact that it was located in the vicinity where the victim was found and in the vicinity of other items located of the same characteristic, shape, size, and color.
So that's my question, Sergeant. What does vicinity mean?
In the area,
Okay, what does area mean?
it's a location, specific location.
Okay.
What's the location?
Are we talking about, 'cause we can do this all day, I guess, are we talking about an area of
Is it
5
funny?
feet or an
Is it
area of
funny?
50 feet?
Is it funny? You're talking about the murder of a dead Boston police officer. You're talking about the murder of a Boston police officer, and this is funny to you? These semantics are funny? I'm horrified. You know who's in shock and horror right now? Me. Are you? All of you? Is this causing you shock and horror too? He's laughing because he
Area
doesn't
of
want to
5
answer the
feet,
freaking
talking
question.
about- 'cause we can do this all day.
Location, specific location.
Okay. Are we talking about, 'cause we can do this all day, I guess, are we talking about an area of 5 feet or an area of 50 feet?
Based on where the items were recovered, we're talking about an area approximately of 30 square feet between the roadway into the grass. It's the
We saw photographs, Sergeant, of items that were butted up against a fire hydrant in one instance, correct? Is that yes?
That's correct. Yes,
A drinking straw that's out in the road, correct?
that's correct.
Another shard of glass that's in the grass, closer to
correct.
the flagpole, correct?
Correct.
A hat that's under the snow adjacent to the left side of the flagpole, correct? I'm sorry, it wasn't. It was closer to the electrical box, wasn't it?
No, the pictures documented where the hat was.
No, you never
It was
showed
to the
us.
right of the flagpole.
So these shards of glass, the point I'm asking is, did you seek to use basic cross coordinates, measurements from something that you know is a known object? Like, for instance, I don't know, a flagpole or a fire hydrant. 27 inches to the north and a foot and a half to the south of those two known points. That would give you a cross coordinate, correct?
It would document the exact location, correct?
And you did not do that with any of these items, correct?
The items that were not photographed were not also GPS located, but they were within the same vicinity of where the other items were collected.
But again, now we're back to the same question. Your word for vicinity might be different than my word for vicinity, right?
Objection.
Sustain.
Well, that's. I'm trying really hard, you guys, not to yell. I'm going to try and calm down.
When you recover these items or any other items, it's obviously important to memorialize on the evidence bag or in some other way exactly where they're found, who found them, the date, time, etc. Correct?
We do the best we can to document all known information on each evidence item bagged at the time.
We do the
And-
best we can.
In terms of the February 10th search, I want to just ask you a couple of quick questions about that evidence bag. Did you bag the items into a single evidence bag that you found that day, or do you recall?
I would have to see the bag. If you have those available, I'll take a look. I can answer
With
them.
the court's permission, exhibit, I think it's 310 that was entered into evidence yesterday. I'd like to display that for us.
Okay.
You did the best you can. Do better.
Where you're at, I don't have
Do
the evidence
better.
bag with me, so if you don't, I can certainly ask the space to enlarge it.
If you can enlarge it, please.
Just a portion of the right. Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
I didn't realize I've got a photograph of it.
Greg, the AV squad is on
Please.
it.
There you go.
Thank you.
Should make it easier. Sergeant, have you been able to familiarize yourself with that evidence bag?
With the photograph, yes.
Okay, thank you. Taking a look at that evidence bag, it has the information on it, has your name is collected by, correct?
Correct.
The date of collection is February 10th, is that right?
That's what it says, yes.
Okay. And it indicates multiple pieces of red, black, and clear plastic, right? It actually says 6 pieces of red, black, and clear plastic, correct?
That's correct.
But that is not an evidence bag that was filled out by you.
I did not fill that bag out, no.
As a matter of fact, that's Trooper Proctor's handwriting.
I do not know what Trooper Proctor's handwriting is. I cannot confirm that that's his handwriting.
But it's not your handwriting.
It is not my handwriting, no.
So are you aware that this particular bag, that bag that contained those 6 items of plastic material that you already deemed was incredibly important to the investigation, was never booked into any evidence until March 14th, the date that it was submitted to the crime lab?
I was not aware of that, no.
We can take that down. If I may approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Did you ever draft a report yourself documenting the recovery of those 6 items and the other 14 items that you said that you found on the same date, February 10th?
I did not, no.
Did you leave that assuming that Trooper Proctor would document that?
Objection.
Sustained, ask it differently.
I'll ask it another way if I can. Did you believe that you didn't need to write a report, Sergeant, because Trooper Proctor would take care of that?
I knew that it would be documented. It was already documented on the actual bag as far as who collected it, when, where, what it was, and a report eventually would be authored on it.
But the where, for all these very intricate pieces, the where is left to 34 Fairview on the back, correct?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
Is that right?
The general vicinity location of the other items collected and documented with photographs was consistent with the same locations this was collected.
How's my Rage
I wanna
Crochet
shift
Club
gears
doing?
for just a second.
You guys here?
Well, actually, I want to ask one final question about that item. Based on the documentation that you just mentioned, that it's documented on the bag, and if the bag is presented to the crime lab on on March 14th, some 5 weeks later, those items were completely unaccounted for from a log standpoint for the entire time from when they were collected until they were booked at the crime lab, correct?
Objection.
Sustained, ask it differently.
Possession of those items, of those 4, 5, 6 weeks.
Are you talking about the items that were just displayed on the screen?
I am, sir.
I did not.
Now I'd like to shift gears to a ring video that you saw yesterday. It's in Exhibit 6, video number 153. That may mean nothing to you. It's the 5:07 a.m. video of Miss Reed's car pulling out of the One Meadows garage. Do you remember that video?
I do.
Okay. You indicated yesterday on questioning, under questioning by Mr. Lally, that Miss Reed's car came in contact with or close to coming in contact with the other vehicle, the Traverse, in the video. Is that right?
The video, as I watched the video, I observed the vehicle come near Mr. O'Keefe's
He
car.
said it made
That's what I want
contact.
to talk about.
He said it made contact yesterday. We rewound it.
May we play that video one more time?
That's what he said yesterday. You guys remember?
Jason, you can pull that up, and then I'm going to ask you, can you just play that for a quick second, and then I'll ask you to pause. Pause. does that appear to be, I'm just pausing it in the first 2 or 3 seconds, does that appear to be the video that you saw yesterday?
It appears that way, yes.
Okay. Mr. Bates, if you could enlarge the area around the the left rear tire of the Traverse. I'm going to ask you, sir, if you'll pay close attention to what's been zoomed, and when the SUV gets close to it, I'm going to pause it and ask you another question. Can you go ahead and play this?
Your Honor, I'm going to object to this.
So why don't we pause the screen, take it down, and I'll see you
No.
at sidebar.
You don't object. Why? Just because they have a better AV squad than you? To have their own AV squad. This is why they fought for it. So they could enlarge stuff. Just took a bite of my lunch because I thought I had a minute.
If we could have the lights dim, Your Honor.
Sure.
You're right. It's the Commonwealth video.
Enlarge the rear area of the Traverse. And I'm going to ask you to pay special attention to that wheel and any movement that you may or may not see. Okay, pause it. Okay, in about the next 3 seconds, Sergeant, I'm asking you to pay special attention to the wheel. Go ahead. We can have the lights on.
I'm going to take it back a second so we can see it again. Looks to me like it moved.
We can have the lights on.
Let's say you.
And you can take that down. Sergeant, were you able to see that video? I know it's not the clearest thing in the world. Were you able to see that video okay?
Yes, I
What did
did.
you notice about the rear wheel of the Traverse?
Based on the motion in the shot with the snow falling, it appears that there is movement, but the video speaks for itself.
Who taught you that phrase?
What would you assess based on the movement of the rear wheel of the Traverse about whether or not the two vehicles came in contact with one another?
Objection.
Sustained.
You let him
Okay,
testify about all kinds of other stuff that he has no expertise in. The video speaks for
I
itself.
have just a moment, Your Honor.
What lawyer taught you to say that, sir? Did Lally actually prep you? Because he hasn't prepped any other witnesses. Yeah, we all saw it move. AJ's on fire today.
Thank you. I'm trying to use my time wisely, Your Honor. Yesterday, Sergeant, you were asked about a couple of videos related to the Sallyport garage. Do you have that in mind?
Yes.
Matter of fact, we watched one of them pretty specifically toward the end of the day yesterday. Did you actually, I want to talk about the one that is the clearer of the two where you slip. You remember that one?
If you pull it up, I can.
I will in just a second.
Okay.
There was one where Mr. Lally paused it and you were slipping in front of the vehicle.
I don't recall myself slipping, no, but it was icy that day. So if there's documentation of me slipping, I might have happened.
Fair enough. I didn't mean anything by that other than that was a moment that I thought you might recall to differentiate the videos.
Yeah.
It's exhibit 446, but I don't think that's going to help you. All right, let's see if I can do this another way. Did you actually personally go to Canton PD to retrieve any or all of the videos of the Sallyport? You yourself?
I did go to Canton and collect already extracted video,
Okay.
but it was a portion of video surveillance. I didn't collect all of the video, so
when was the most recent time that you went to Canton to collect a portion of the video?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I don't remember. I'm sorry.
Did you review well, let me ask it this way. Did you collect a video that was sought on or about April 23rd, April 24th this year? Meaning just a few weeks ago.
Of this year?
Did I collect it?
Correct.
I did not collect that video of April this year, no.
You're aware that the video that you saw yesterday was in fact collected after the trial started in April of 2024?
Objection.
What?
Sustained.
Are you aware of when that video that we saw yesterday was collected?
Objection.
That was the
I am not aware.
Sallyport video?
Was yesterday the first time you'd seen that video?
No,
When had you seen that video previously?
a couple of weeks ago.
Okay, what were the circumstances in which you saw that video?
Objection.
Sustained.
Why?
Did
He's
you have a
not
meeting with the DA?
It's not privileged.
Objection.
Sustained.
The DA doesn't represent him. Your Honor,
Did you ever
this
have
is
any
why-
kind of
this is why bases for objections need to be stated. Okay? It's not he is not represent this officer is not represented by the Commonwealth. Is he? Am I missing something? What's the basis for the objection of when he saw it? Who showed it to him? Right? Kurt, privilege? Maybe he has his own attorney. Maybe his own attorney showed it to him because maybe he's under federal investigation too. I don't know. But there was some video that we saw from the Sallyport yesterday that was not turned over to the defense until after this trial had already started. But he's seen it, but the defense hasn't seen it. But did he see it before they exchanged it with the defense? Because, you know, there are discovery obligations in courts of law. The Commonwealth is required to turn over all evidence to the defense, exculpatory and otherwise. And all of a sudden, they find this video from the Sallyport from January of 2022 in April of 2024. Okay. Keep sustaining, Mama Bev. My brain's going to explode.
communication with Mr. Lally about your testimony?
Objection.
Sustained.
May we approach?
Yes,
Yes.
please. Thank you. I'm AJ is on fire.
And then
When was Mr. Lally, may I?
Yes.
Thank you. Sergeant, did you have any meetings or communications with Mr. Lally in anticipation of your testimony?
yes,
When was that?
it was about 2 weeks ago. And then last week, I believe.
And what was discussed? Generally.
Generally, we discussed the portions of the case that I would be presenting.
Did you write a report about your communications with Mr. Lally?
No, I did not.
Were you handed a script?
Were you shown any of the videos that you've seen here in anticipation of your testimony?
Not during the first meeting. I did review a video during
Come on.
the second time.
Okay, and that video was that you did see the second
Reel 'em
time
in.
was the interior video of the Sallyport that we saw yesterday, correct?
I'm just trying to remember exactly what video I saw. I
don't
had reviewed
remember.
videos outside of
Oh,
our meeting, so
anything at all. I don't
I
remember.
don't remember exactly what
I don't
video Mr. Lally showed me.
I got
But
no
you do
memory.
recall seeing the video that you saw yesterday, the sort of clear one that has the crime scene taping put up and all that. You have seen that one before,
Yes,
and that was with Mr. Lally, correct?
that is not correct because I do not recall when I saw that
Oh.
video or what video I saw with Mr. Lally.
Good way to get out.
All right. I'd like to talk about that exhibit 446 for a second, and then I'll show it to you. You indicated that the video that all the videos. Everything that you saw yesterday was true and accurate, correct? Based on your memory of the events that were memorialized in the video?
The video captures events taking place in accurate fashion, yes.
In an accurate fashion. All right, that's what I wanted to find out. And after you watched the video, I think you were asked by Mr. Lally, does the video show you or Trooper Proctor having access to or messing with in any way that right rear tail light in any fashion? And you said never.
I was asked if at any point Trooper Proctor and I had came into contact, I believe, or touched the vehicle and that portion of the vehicle, and I said never. We never touched the vehicle prior to it being properly processed with a search warrant.
And that was specifically his question was to, and your answer was to the right rear portion of the vehicle, right? That right rear tail light.
The right rear damaged taillight, correct.
With the court's permission, I'd like to play a portion of Exhibit 446.
Okay.
May I inquire, Your Honor, of the witness just playing it?
Didn't have much to
Before
fast
we
forward
begin playing it, Mr. Bates, if you wouldn't mind, may I inquire, Your Honor, of the witness just to lay a foundation? Sergeant, do you recognize this as being the video that we saw yesterday?
It does look accurate.
Okay.
Yes.
I just wanted to make sure we're on the same page. This is 446, just so you have it in mind if I reference that. Space, if you could play that. And I think it's runtime 120.
Today's stream brought to you by Ricola. Watch carefully.
Do you recognize that as the video we saw yesterday?
Yes, I do.
Very briefly, if you could move to time of day, 5:37:05. Yes. With the court's permission, can we play at this point?
Yes.
All right, that shows the vehicle coming into the Sallyport, and we're looking at which side of the vehicle?
So that is the driver's side of the vehicle. What that video depicts is a mirror collection. Although mirrors are accurate representation of what you're seeing, it's just inverted. So that is the driver's side of the vehicle. I do not know why it is inverted, but that's the way it was presented, collected and presented from Canton Police.
Can you see a timestamp or a time and date stamp on the bottom of that? It's in blue.
I cannot know.
Okay. Does it appear that time and date stamp, if you can't read every letter on it, that is in correct order? In other words, that's not inverted.
I cannot read it, no.
All right, let's go ahead and play this for a second. Who is that just got out of the car?
I do not know. I think that's the tow truck driver. He would have the only access to the vehicle. We did not touch the vehicle.
Who's that on the left?
I missed that. I was looking down at the laser pointer. I do not know. I know for a fact, I'm the gentleman that's wearing a dark olive drab state police baseball style hat. and Trooper Mike Proctor is wearing a winter hat.
Trooper Proctor's wearing what?
A winter hat.
Back that up. Just that was playing, and I didn't realize it was playing while you were talking. Stop. Look for that. And stop. Yesterday, when you testified, you indicated that the two individuals in this scene were you and Trooper Proctor, correct?
Not correct. There was two individuals in the rear of the vehicle. I shined my light to. That was me and Trooper Proctor.
Do you see Trooper Proctor toward the back of the rear of the vehicle there?
Yeah, near the taillight.
I can't tell because of the
Mhm.
what the head is. I just know that Trooper Proctor was wearing a black hat.
Which the person in that, in the video to the left, to the rear of the car is wearing a black hat, correct?
I can't tell. I don't want to be locked into a statement where later on you show me that it's somebody else magically. I can't testify to that.
There's no magic about this. It's your testimony. I'm just asking you what you see.
I don't see that. No.
Stop. Let's go ahead and play at this point.
I have Kurt from Uncivil Law here with me to help us untangle this mess because
You
I'm
see the person toward the back of the vehicle
The upside
walking
down.
toward the opposite side of the SUV.
I do.
What area does he appear to be going to?
He appears to be going towards the rear passenger side of the vehicle, although it does not appear so because the video is inverted, a mirror image. That's where he's going.
And Sergeant Buchenick, you testified for at least a half an hour about this video yesterday, correct?
I'm sorry, it was a long day. I don't know the timing of how long I testified.
You significantly testified about this video yesterday, did you not?
I testified about this video.
And you testified that it was true and accurate, correct?
Correct.
And you testified that it was reflective of your observations of what was happening in that Sallyport that evening, correct?
I testified that this is a accurate scene and collection of video
Check.
from.
Oh, there we go.
And as that truck sits in that Sallyport, just like
As I was saying earlier,
appears from all
I feel like this is the most appropriate case for me ever because it doesn't get much more uncivil than this.
right.
So this was the case that was made for me.
It really was.
I was bored into it.
You were
The
born
most
in.
uncivil of the cases.
I have the stress ball here. If you've already watched this, we're a little bit behind. So let's there's not too much more left, I don't think. Let's see what we can get through before I throw something. If you want me to
what we're
pause,
looking
just
at is
say.
the passenger side of the car, and that right rear taillight is right there shining in our face, correct? From this perspective.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
From this perspective, from the perspective that the jurors are looking at,
Okay.
from all indications, that would appear to be the right side of the truck, the passenger side of the truck. And that taillight that you can see is the right rear taillight from this perspective, correct?
The way it presents itself, yes.
And yesterday, during the entirety of your questioning by Mr. Lau, not once did you mention that this video is actually completely inverted.
I did not know.
He didn't
Mr.
know?
Riley didn't ask you if it was inverted, correct?
That's correct.
And if I hadn't gotten up here and begun questioning you, that would be left uncorrected, correct?
Objection.
That would be left uncorrected, correct?
I want to go back to whoever asked him in the long ago and in the far away at whatever hearing it first came up about authenticity. Does this video accurately depict what was happening?
Mhm.
Presumably he said yes.
Right.
And therefore it was wrong because it's inverted. So no, it does not accurately reflect. Now he could have just said, no, this is inverted and it would have been fine. But presumably he said, yes, this is what it showed, but it's not. So that's a problem, people.
That's
It's
a big
another what
problem.
shall we? It's another what shall we say? Inconsistent answer under oath with established realities.
It's a theme in this case where the witnesses will
Mm,
say, "Well, I was never asked that
mm,
question." So,
mm.
while they like to
I know you were
volunteer
asked that
stuff,
question. I have no doubt in my mind you were asked that question. You were asked if it was authentic. You had to have been
he says,
because it was
"Is this
introduced. I know
a
you were
fair
asked.
because this is the only thing Lally knows how to do. Is this a fair and accurate
Right.
depiction
Right.
of the way that you remember what happened that day in the Sallyport?" And he's like, "Yeah. Good. This will be great for whatever recap video you're going to do, but
Okay, so it's not
help.
it's not authentic.
I need uncivil help."
Is
Here
it
we go.
too late to exclude it in retrospect?
The person
'Cause it's not
with
authentic?
the winter cap appears to walk directly to the what ultimately should be the right rear taillight of his car, correct?
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
the vicinity. Yes, that's where he is. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and then the timestamp fonts that someone pointed out to me
Yeah.
yesterday. I think that was Aussie pointed out the timestamp fonts. That's also a nice touch.
There's a lot of pieces clipped out. It jumps. You can see where like a guy
Yeah.
appears. So that's
I'd like you to pay attention
the driver's side.
to the right rear of this car. And I know we're completely backward, but it's the far corner of the car. Do you see a person's head there?
It appears as if someone's still there.
And
All
that
the way over here.
person is located at or near what portion of the car?
The
In
exploding
real life or
taillight.
as it's depicted?
In real life?
Is the person in real life, near the right rear taillight of the car?
Are we not in real life? Are we in an alternate universe? Is he agreeing with us that we're in an alternate universe? Because I think that we are. I'm glad he agrees. In real life? So
If it's
this is the
inverted, it would
driver's
be
side.
the right rear. I mean, presumably.
This is the
No.
driver's side of the vehicle. See this little white portion of the light? Like they want the jury to
Mhm.
look at this and say, "Oh, look, it's busted out. This
Mhm.
looks totally busted out." But that's the
Mhm.
driver's side. And that's the 3-card Monty.
No, I think it's the passenger
Yes.
side, correct? Because it's the front of the car's that way.
No, it's
On the right.
inverted now. So what looks like the passenger side is really the driver's side. So he came out the door of the driver's side. This over here where he's standing is the passenger side. That's what they're saying. So he's standing, the taillight that busted was the passenger side taillight. So that's where
Yeah.
he is. But when we look at this, because we don't realize it's inverted, you can see the letters are inverted here and the number 4 is inverted. Somebody needs to explain this to me like I'm 5.
No, it's
Like a
the
mirror
passenger
image.
side because you can clearly see where the front of the car is and you can clearly see where the rear of the car is. So it would have to be the passenger side, would it not? Because
He just came
you're
out of it.
looking
He
at
was
it.
the one driving it into the Sallyport. Somebody came out this door, which makes it the driver's side door. I'm telling you, I don't know either.
Okay, all right,
Let's
fair
do it.
enough. Maybe I'm an idiot. Fair
Standing
enough.
there, hovering around there, correct?
We don't know the distance that they are in proximity to the actual vehicle. We just know that they're behind the vehicle. That
Looks like it's pretty close, doesn't it, Sergeant?
Objection.
Sustained.
Does that look like he's in close proximity to the right rear taillight?
as I said, I can't tell how far away he is from the vehicle.
His head's right there, sir. You can't tell that he's right next to the right rear taillight?
Objection.
Sustained.
I want you to pay attention to what that person does as soon as
Maybe
the
it's
other
left-hand
person
drive.
comes
Maybe it's
out
right-hand
behind
drive.
that car. See if you see him move.
No.
It's a British import.
Do you see
I
that
see-
person move?
I saw movement in the frame, yes.
Right when the other person is in eyesight of the person toward the right rear, correct?
I mean, the video speaks for itself.
Yeah, it does.
Does it though? Does it? Because it's
Objection,
inverted,
Your
so it
The
doesn't.
objection sustained. No commenting, Mr. Jackson. We've talked about that.
I'm
We're
gonna
all
ask
confused.
Mr. Bates to back it up because there's one other issue I want you to pay attention to if you can, right at this moment or right before this moment, and that is the timestamp. We can back it up maybe 10 seconds. Right about there. Don't play it yet. Instead of paying attention to the individuals, I'm going to ask you, can you see, may I approach the screen you're on?
Yes.
Can you see the timestamp at 5:37 and 37 seconds PM? Can you see that from where you're at?
No, I cannot.
Me neither. Glad I don't walk up to it.
Good thing they have a good AV guy.
Let's play it for about 10 seconds. Pause it. Did you see another person just appear toward the rear end of the car?
There was a fog of some sorts. It did appear as if a person was actually in. There was two people back there, and two people walked away, or one person walked away.
Timestamp jumped to 5:38:01. Correct?
I cannot see the timestamp, sir.
Okay. Did it appear that there was an anomaly? There was a portion of that video that was deleted. What's missing? Not deleted, but just missing.
Objection.
Can you tell that? Does it appear that way to you, Sergeant?
No, Your Honor, I cannot tell what is happening with the video.
Is it fog, like a blob?
If you take a close look at there's a classic police car in that Sallyport, correct?
There's an antique vehicle there. Yes, yes.
If you take a close look at the trunk of that vehicle, you see the word police?
Yes, I believe I can read that. Yes.
And it's backward, correct?
It is mirrored, correct.
That's a good indication that this is an inverted video, right?
It appears that way, yes.
And if we were to fast forward at 5:42,
Hey, Aussie Insider. Been enjoying the clip compilations. Those have been fun.
She's awesome. Yeah, he just said it is the driver's side door.
not another 20 seconds. There you go. Can we just play it at this point? No. You take one pause it. Pause it. You see the Sallyport garage came down?
Yes,
You see a number on the garage?
I
Oop.
do.
There it is.
What is correct?
Does the number appear correct? Is that how you make it 4?
No, the number's in the mirror image, yes.
I just wanted to make the point. Everything in this video
Maybe it's a P.
is completely backward, correct?
It's a
It's
garage
not
P.
backwards, it's mirrored, reversed. You can look yourself in the mirror in the morning, you still see your own face. It's not backwards.
When you look at yourself in the mirror, you're not,
My mirror
strictly
image is
speaking,
not-
inverted.
No, you're not.
You're in a... That's not how a
Rod's-
mirror works, man.
Rod Serling can be seen lurking around the entrance to the Sallyport. If you know, you know. Oh, Fair Raven, we know.
An accurate depiction of who I am. My
Jack.
actual physical appearance is who I am, correct?
Objection.
Sustained.
A mirror image, Sergeant, is not an accurate video of this, is it?
Objection.
It's a mirror image by definition.
Sustained.
Cue the
Ask it differently,
sirens.
Your
Mr. Jackson.
Honor, thank you. I don't think I need to. I would like to mark
Bad boys, bad boys. What you gonna do?
We can bring the lights up.
What you gonna do when they come
Wait.
for you?
Well, if you're in Canton police, apparently you can get away with anything. So apparently, just continue my life if I'm a bad boy, I guess.
Yeah.
I have a,
Let's go.
thumb drive
Here, man.
I'd like to have marked with the court's permission.
Does Mr. Lally know what's on this thumb drive without you telling us?
I do not.
Okay.
Oh, you don't know?
And I can certainly bring it up.
Location.
If I may, Your Honor. I'd like to play the first 10 seconds of that video.
No. We'll come
Oh.
to Simon. It's marked
No,
for
that's fun.
identification, right?
Well,
Mr.
Lally's-
Jackson?
You just turned over this video to the defense after jury selection started. So, you know,
How long ago is it? This is 2023, right?
this was in January 2022. So this
Yeah,
Sallyport
and
video.
we're still getting discovery after the jury's been. That seems like a long time.
Oh yeah, I went through all the pretrial motions and pretrial hearings, and they've been fighting It took them over 2 years to even get the clothing to inspect. Like, that's how insane this has been.
Okay.
So,
After speaking with the lawyers, I can safely say that you will get this case for your deliberations sometime the last week in June.
Okay.
We'll know better
Well, I look
next
forward to that.
week. We will not be in session next Tuesday. We will go
3 more weeks of
Monday,
this. Looking forward to
Monday,
it.
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday next week.
okay.
We will not be in session next Tuesday.
Why not?
Right?
What is with this part-time
Any
court
more
thing?
Cautions again, please
So
do not discuss this case.
ridiculous.
Are we going to lunch?
Don't do any
No, it's only half a day. We're done.
independent research or investigation
Oh, okay.
into
I'm
this
sorry.
case.
We're done.
If you happen
Oh,
to
well, that was
see,
all
hear,
right.
or read anything about this case, please disregard it and let us know.
Please do not watch either Melanie Little or Uncivil Law over the weekend.
Or basically any attorney covering this case, because every attorney covering this case is some version of WTF.
Yeah. Yeah.
Minutes.
See what she said
An
to say, but
opportunity.
hers-
All right, so I received a motion from the Commonwealth this morning that I have not had an opportunity to read yet. It's on my desk. I'd like to go spend a few minutes looking at that
Yeah.
and come back out at 12 o'clock on that.
Okay. I love the hearing argument.
I love to maximum troll this
Yes.
thing and try to
Do
just
you
defend
need-
the government and their presentation of the case, but I'm not sure how
Okay.
long I can maintain a straight face.
All right.
That'd be rough.
Could we do it on
Yeah.
Monday?
Can we do it on Monday?
I want to
Yeah.
get as much evidence in as we can each day. We can do it at 8:30 Monday morning.
If you want to get as much
Well, we
evidence
can
in
do
as you
it
can each
Madam
day,
Clerk, we
maybe,
can do it-
not being part-time would be helpful towards
Mhm.
that end.
Listen, Kurt, she's got a house down the Cape. She's got to get on the road because, Friday, summer Fridays, traffic's brutal.
At 8:30. Jim.
Jim, is it all right with you, Jim?
Not that it matters.
Can we do it at 8:30 Monday morning?
If that's what the court wants, yes.
Yeah, we'll have a hearing on it at 8:30 Monday. Are you around tomorrow? Are you around tomorrow?
Do Saturday? What's tomorrow's Friday?
Yes, absolutely.
Do you want to do it tomorrow morning?
Oh.
If I had a preference, I would say Monday.
All right,
Oh.
we'll do Monday morning at 8:30.
I'm sorry. what was that?
Monday.
Okay, great.
And if you want to put something in writing, just email it to us this weekend.
Will do.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, we'll see you then.
Great. So there's no
Please.
court tomorrow. So they're going to come back 8:30 Monday. So we have an early start Monday, guys. Thoughts on the day, Kurt?
Another day of the government's performance. It's per normal, and just come what we've come to expect. Nothing particularly exceptional in the state's presentation of the case. Just another day of painting by numbers.
Seems like they're trying to
Great.
distance
That's
Proctor
fine.
from this case by making him a case
Yeah.
investigator now.
Fine. I'm not sure how that distances him in any way.
Because YURY is testifying to everything that he did with Proctor, so that they're not going to have to call Proctor in to testify. Because they're damned if they do and they're damned if they don't, right?
Yeah, we all know that's not going to happen. You have to call Proctor. And if they don't, I think the defense calls Proctor because there's just no way. And if Proctor takes the fifth, sure, let's add that to the pile. I mean, I would, to be honest, if I'm Proctor at this point, I'd take the fifth because the obvious jeopardy is obvious. So
Yeah.
I have every reason to take the fifth, but not the typical move from the police. So eh.
It's only question by question, though. He can't just say, I take the fifth. I'm not taking the stand at all.
It depends on the jurisdiction, but we'll see.
We are in the crazy town of Massachusetts. Well, I know that
I don't know what their court rules are. Obviously, if I thought I knew what their court rules are, we wouldn't be where we are. So obviously, I don't know what their court rules are, because apparently in Massachusetts, we can go off fantasies that someone had once, and that's apparently sufficient to go to trial. I was under the impression that you might need actual evidence of some variety.
No.
Maybe knowing how the victim died, for example, that might be a useful piece of evidence in a murder case. That might be helpful. Maybe we should have a medical examiner of some kind who could testify, here's how the victim died. That would be nice, but apparently not so much. We don't need that piece of evidence. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, we heard this witness say that he called the medical examiner desk to tell them that they were investigating it as a domestic incident, that perhaps she hit him in the face. And that's the way it was originally investigated. And then they go back to the scene 5 different times, and they don't think it's important to note the locations of the additional evidentiary items that they found. So there's
Yeah,
that.
I haven't, or did I post the video and it didn't do well? I can't remember which, but I think I posted it and it didn't do well and I took it back down. But I was really incredulous when they were talking about the GPS and the GPS markers, because according to them, GPS is only accurate within 16 feet.
Hmm.
Okay. And then they said, all right, the pieces of evidence were found depending on which portion of this we're listening to, and it doesn't matter, right? It was less than a foot, or it was a foot, or maybe it was 3 feet. And I'm like, it actually doesn't matter because all those numbers are less than 16. So they're all within the margin of error of the measurement device you're using according to you. So it's not accurate enough for what you're trying to do. According to you, it's not accurate enough. And then they're like, oh, the GPS put the evidence right on top of each other. You think? Because the distances you're measuring are within the margin of error.
Yeah.
16 feet might be an acceptable margin of error, depending on what we're trying to measure. That might be a totally acceptable margin of error. But when we're trying to measure things that are within a foot or 3 foot or less than a foot or any of these numbers, when the margin of error is bigger than the thing you're measuring, I mean, okay, all right, yeah, all right, great.
They also said that the GPS doesn't work properly in the snow. They made that claim as well. So I know I'm taking you away from your editing. If you'd like to go editing, you'd like to go edit, you can. I'm going to look at some questions, but totally up to you if you want to stay or go. Should I stay or should I go now?
Wow.
Gary Singer, thanks. Did they tell Karen they plan to search her phone for nudes? Great question. Thanks, Lori Life 360 for the win, for gifting memberships. Appreciate you. Crime Vlog Weekly says lots of editing in the Sallyport video. Yeah, we see that. Lexi Maxwell's adding to the playlist, our mixtape, Think Freedom, Aretha Franklin. Thanks, Lexi, for the 5. Tell me, Kurt, you want to stay or go? Or do you have any more final thoughts from the day that you'd like to share with us?
I just find it is, I need like a stronger word than farcical. I need something even stronger. It's like I'm running out of vocabulary words because of this case, but it is farcical how basically like every piece of evidence the government has is wrong in some way. And that's just, it's like there's essentially no piece of evidence that isn't compromised in some fashion. Oh, the police reports were wrong. Oh, the Celebrate data was wrong. Oh, we didn't put the witness's statement in the report until we did. It's like, oh, the video is mirror imaged. It's like, oh, the lead investigator, or the ATF agent who heard the confession didn't put that in a report and all the rest of it. It's hard to fathom how it's even possible that all these people, or the lab technician who was testifying the other day, it's like, oh, I only tested one of the 6 cups. Which one? Don't know. They weren't labeled before and I didn't bother to label them. Okay, so you only tested one of them. Why? Well, I was told they were all part of the same state. It's like, oh, you assumed.
She said, I assumed.
You, the lab technician, assumed. It's like, oh, if only there was some kind of expert, or if there was only some kind of facility where assumptions like that could be tested, if only there was some kind of entity where we could submit evidence that could be tested for those assumptions in some way. Who might that be, right? It's like, wouldn't that be you? And then she's like, okay, did you test it for DNA? No, I didn't.
Yeah. So
we didn't test it in any way.
Blood it was. We have no idea.
We didn't test it anyway. It's like, we didn't test it in any way. I'm like, oh, really? It's like, oh, okay. So is that doesn't sound like proper lab procedure to me. So I guess for lack of better description, the comedy of errors is piled so high, it is fantastical.
It's Shakespearean in nature.
Yeah,
I felt like he was reading off a script today. when he said, "Oh, my memory's exhausted." That was something that is directly pulled from this trial that one of the attorneys has been using.
Yeah. So those are my final thoughts. And also, as I've noted earlier, we still haven't heard from a medical examiner on the cause of death. So we have no evidence about how this person. Are we sure the victim has died? Have we double checked that at this point? That's what I'd like to know. So, have we confirmed the victim is dead? Because
Mhm.
you know the medical examiner would be helpful. It'd be like, yeah, that person's dead. Checked it myself. No, we have no idea if this person's dead or how they died or who might be responsible. Was it the collision? Was it hypothermia? Did they have a stroke? Who knows? Would be helpful to have that information. Maybe they died suddenly of, you know, some disease or something. I don't know, because we'd be helpful to have a professional for that. So the farcical comedy of errors piled high and deep is my continuing. You would think I am continuously surprised every single day. I'm continuously surprised. It's like I thought we've reached a new level of farce, and then somehow it gets deeper. This is the never-ending story of farce, and every single day I'm surprised, and it's
Just can't
amazeballs.
make it up. You just can't make it up.
I'm gonna leave now so that I can do some
Go do some
from
editing. Make some
stuff,
funny
but
videos for
whatever.
us because
Yeah.
we all need a laugh.
All right, I'll talk to you guys later. Have
Always
fun
good to
over
see
here.
you.
Bye.
Thanks, Kurt. Everybody say bye to Kurt. That was fun. That was a fun little drop in. Dave the Pious, thanks for chipping in the 2 paperback writer. Yeah, that's a good one. Jennifer Abracadabra, Steve Miller Band. Maddie P, thanks for the super chat. Did you see someone handed a note to BO? No, I did not. I did not see that. Thanks, Serenity RPH, for becoming a member. Debbie Rose, okay, please tell me, even in high impact accidents, the glass and debris is mostly concentrated in one area, correct? How did one taillight disperse all these pieces across that area? Are you crazy? No, you're not crazy. Because if you're crazy, we're all crazy. I'm not crazy. You're crazy. We don't even know the exact places that the pieces of the taillight were found because YURIY Bukhenik just told you wasn't really important. Wasn't really important to measure them in any way. That's what he said. Thanks, Debbie, for the super chat. Husky Lover, thanks for being a member for 2 months. Okay, so I'm confused. So now they decide to take pictures and measurements on the planted evidence. This is so disgusting, free Karen Reed. You saw it. We all saw it. They found a ruler at some point, and we saw the ruler on the 5 or 6 undocumented searches that they just happened to be driving by because it was their driving by twice a day just to see if any other evidence would reveal itself. Jack Strawman, thanks for the super chat. Measuring ruler, not the other kind of ruler. Yeah. Kiki St. John, thank you for the super chat. Red and clear plastic that was planted is all the evidence shown to the jury. Thank you, Kiki. Jennifer D, seriously, are we being punked? I'm looking around. I'm waiting for the candid camera to pop up. Ashton Kutcher is coming out at any minute. Either that or we're on a new jury duty season. Jury Duty Season 2 on Amazon Prime. If you haven't watched it, check it out. It's hilarious. Sin in the house. Thanks for the super chat. Why did the clothing expert not get the hat? Long straw when drinking out of a rocks glass, I think you're saying, WTF. Yeah, that could have been a coffee straw from a million people drinking coffee on the scene, right? Was the straw ever tested? I don't think so. Was the hat ever tested? I don't think so. The clothing expert did not show us a hat and did not show us socks. They photographed all of the other clothing that was bagged together, but they didn't show us the socks or the hat. And if he took his shoes off and he went in the house, the socks surely would have had some dog hair on them, yeah? Christine, thank you so much for the 50. That's a very generous super chat. Thank you. Christine says, I can't believe this is real life. I think we're all in an alternate universe where objections are sustained and evidence is coming in, where mirror image video is shown without that being explained to the jury, and where witnesses can just say, well, nobody asked me that question, so no big whoop. Thank you, Christine. You're amazing. JPC, Killing Time by Clint Black. Thank you for the 10. Outraged Mama Bear. I love it when you guys change your screen names to conform with the case. The picture of the shoe found at 34 Fairview had a black bottom. The show officer John O'Keefe was wearing at the first bar clearly had a white bottom. I noticed that it had a white bottom, I thought, the Nike sneaker, because I pointed that out the other day, that it had a white bottom. But I'll go back and take a look at that. Thank you for your super chat. Laura, hi. Glad you're finally back. So inconsiderate of those bosses to keep you away from the trial. Thanks for your super chat. Vanny Annie, congratulations on becoming a new member. Welcome. I'm just a girl in the world. Thank you for the super chat. Say it louder for the jurors in the back. Proctor. Ryan Courtney Davenport, thanks for the super sticker. Universal Truth. And Susan, thanks for becoming members. I'm just a girl in the world. Thanks for coming in again. AJ has longer receipts than CVS. Oh my gosh, that's so true. CVS wastes so much paper. Those receipts are longer than my arm sometimes. Ryan Courtney, thank you again for another super chat. The silence says it all. Yeah, you could hear a pin drop when he was flipping through those documents. Young Black Economist Mastermind. That's another great board game idea for today's stream. Oh, I can't wait to go redo the thumbnail. Thank you, Virginia Murphy, for being a member for a month, and says she's grateful for the wise and witty melody. Thank you. Try. Some days are better than others. Lindsay Tyler. So Jackson can't bring up Proctor's texts about Karen at all. Or can he, because he is his supervisor? I think what they're going to need to do, because I think those were on his personal phone, is if Proctor doesn't testify, they're going to need to call in one of the recipients of those texts about the nudes and about the wishing she would kill herself. But I just saw somebody put in the chat in all caps that Proctor is coming in to testify. Every day is a new day. We don't know what's going to happen. So he can, if he calls in somebody else to authenticate them. A recipient, perhaps. Cynthia, thank you so much. Now digging in the dirt is going through my head. KM, Karma Matters, Justice for Officer John O'Keefe. Thank you for coming in from Canada with a super chat. Please consider the circus theme song. You know what I did put in there is the Benny Hill theme song. That's in there. So thanks, I will. Wolfram, Diggy Diggy Hole by Windrose. Thanks, Wolfram, for the 5. Evolve My Commentary Logic Comedy. Fire. Thanks for the 10. And thanks for thinking I'm funny. Critical Darling, thank you for the super chat. Other trials, court reporters can read back statements that were said prior during the trial. Why not in this trial? Then they can't recall. You mean read back questions? Sometimes they'll say, "Can you read that back to the court reporter?" And when they say, "Can you repeat the question?" But she's talking into some sort of a microphone and it's being voice recorded. So I don't know if they have that capability. They certainly can't go back to yesterday. That's harder. But when she's sitting with a steno machine, she can just look at the tape that's coming out and read it back if something happened in real time. Good question, though. Freelancer says, I am behind, but sir, a measuring ruler as opposed to what? A snack ruler? He doth protest too much. Shakespearean in nature. I'm just a girl in the world comes in again with another 5. Call the butcher paper and the label maker to the stand. Yeah, how about that? Susan Youngblood. I've been following this trial since the beginning. Your commentary is the right mix of knowledge and snark. Love it. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Susan. Thanks for the 5. Courtney, thanks for the 10. The Long Island killer, Rex Heuermann, just got charged with more murders. I saw that. I believe he was just charged with Jessica Taylor and Sandra Costilla. And I'll have to do a story on that when I have some time to put something together for you. I'm sure everyone else is going to be breaking that story today. So I like to get the court documents so we can talk about them. But yeah, crazy. What's really going on? Why didn't they let Jen hold the evidence? I don't know which evidence you're talking about. Thank you for your super chat or for being a member for a month. Ben, thank you for the 10. We just drove by and picked up random stuff. I mean, it's not as if it was considered a crime scene. No, it wasn't secured. They did twice a day drive-by, morning and evening, on their way home, just to see if any more evidence would reveal itself. Donna, thanks so much for the super chat. Whoop, there it is. Whoop, it's getting hot in here. Yep, 2 good ones. Rebecca, was John's car checked for damage? That's a great question. I don't know the answer, Rebecca. I don't know if the police checked it for damage. Because, you know, they're trying to insinuate that Karen deleted ring footage that Proctor subpoenaed. But there's some issue with his subpoena about what he requested. And there is some issue about a Dropbox folder that he was provided with that may have expired before he looked at it or before he downloaded anything. So he's going to have to testify because the judge would not let YURY testify about that. Thanks, French Island Girl, for becoming a new member. Tracy Hamilton, thanks for the 5. The timestamp in the Sallyport video is different as in the display, different size and color, only possible if edited to add a timestamp on. You're correct. PK Dangles, thanks for the super chat. Note the old police car police sticker is backwards. Yep, I took a look at that. Feliz Navidad, thanks for becoming a member. And Fun Size, thanks for becoming a member. Harley, thank you for the super chat. Can someone please explain the difference between backwards and reversed? I think it's mirror image and inverted. And I would love to hear about that too. An expert, perhaps. Kathy Todd, thank you for your super sticker. And on top, thank you for your super sticker. Do you guys want to watch the Aussie Insider video with regard to the Sallyport? Since we're here, we should probably do that just so we could play it. It's about 10 minutes long, so let's take a look at that. And if you are not subscribed to Aussie, please go do it, because she does some amazing reaction videos as well. Okay. Man in the Mirror. That's a great song. Thank you, Vicky. Thank you for that. Okay, here's Aussie Insider's channel. If you have not had a chance yet to check it out, please check it out.
Some of you asked me to flip the Sallyport video, and so that's what I'm going to do now. But just before I do, let's just double check that we should be flipping the footage. Shout out to Jonathan Bowen for going to the Canton Police Department to make a video of that old cruiser within its Sallyport, the rear end of which is depicted within Adam Lally's video. So we'll quickly have a look at that video, and then I'll show you where he was standing in Adam Lally's video flipped. Notice the front of this Ford Galaxy does not have the reversed insignia of police written on it. It's generally only the front of the car that will have it reversed, because that's the only time you'll be looking at it in your vision mirror. If you're behind the car, then it will be the correct direction, because obviously you're not looking at it in your rear vision mirror. Also note the position of this camera up here. These two pieces of information tell us that yes, the Sallyport video should be flipped. Now I've got it flipped, and you'll see the big red X here is where Jonathan would have been standing thereabouts to film that previous footage. Something else to note is that something has been parked in this garage. Not long enough for the snow to melt, but it's all sitting in a very nice square. Wouldn't it be ironic if Karen's vehicle is exactly the same size as that square? Oh, wait. It is exactly the same size as that square. Anyway, now we've got the video the right way around, let's watch the rest of it. Okay, I'm going to shush now.
I'm going to mute this music because I don't want to get stricken for the music, because I'll have to cut this portion out later if I do. So let's just watch without sound. Yeah, clearly you can see he came out the driver's side door, and now somebody is over here at the passenger side taillight that Yuri said is Proctor. All the rest of these guys shoveling the snow away. Wow. They wanted the jury to believe the taillight on the video and the port was the broken side. Well, the passenger side looked the same with the red and white light. You're correct. This is Jim Morrison for the win. What say you, my friends? Do you think they were trying to dupe the jury? You think they were trying to dupe the jury? Yep. I think they were too. You can see Proctor over there by the taillight. Clear as day. Crime Genius says the motion is revealed. The Commonwealth wants to exclude an expert on the defense. That's interesting. If I can get a hold of that, we'll take a look at it. Little Cupcake says they were trying to fool everyone with everything, including this. It's tangled web. It's a tangled web. Go over to Aussie Insider and watch the rest of this video. But this is the properly inverted Sallyport video. And I'm not sure why they didn't show us the proper version of this. Is it Proctor or a fog? Yeah, or a 6-foot blob. Yeah, the timestamps are also screwed up. There's portions missing. You can see it skipping around. Hoodwink. Hello, Broken Baker. Loving your coverage. From Denmark. Thank you for the super chat. They wanted them to think she drove a British Lexus. Yeah. I was confused. I'm like, why is that dude coming out the passenger side? Like, why is anybody in the passenger side of that vehicle? Nobody should be in the passenger side of that vehicle. Thanks, Jamie Joseph. The motion is posted. Let me see if anybody emailed it to me yet. Oh, not yet available. It says my favorite Dudley Do Right. My favorite Dudley Do Right says it's the Commonwealth's renewed motion for reciprocal discovery and motion to exclude defendant's expert, Dr. Marie Russell. Was she on the original witness list? Let me take a look. I don't know if we ever saw a complete defense expert witness list, but clearly Dr. Marie Russell has some pretty damning things to say. They're trying to exclude her. Clearly. Thanks, Ozzy, for letting us play that, or portion of it. And you guys can go back and watch that as such later on your own time. So Dr. Marie Russell, we'll have to see what her expertise is. If anybody knows, you are free to put it in the chat. Thank you so very much. So many of you sent me videos side by side of the taillights. And I thank you for that as well. And to Julie, thank you for the Venmo. And for saying that I'm the best. No, you're the best. No, you're the best. And thank you, Kelly, also for your cupcakes, your Venmo cupcakes. And Justin, thank you for your Cash App. You guys are so amazing. And he says he's thanking me for my insight every day. And I thank you for tuning in every day, all of you. Because without you, I'd be screaming at my TV and breaking things probably. And Lisa, thank you so much for your Cash App. Well, my friends, there's no court tomorrow, but there may be some things we need to catch up on, like some motion papers. Bunny, thanks for the 5. I have a song to add to the Karen Reed playlist. Higgins to Karen, The Foundations, Build Me Up, Buttercup. Sorry, no, we haven't heard that one yet. We have not heard that one yet, Bunny, so thank you so much. Yeah, Rick Hamill coming in here. Lally should be prosecuted for presenting tampered evidence. Inverted video, WTF. I don't know. I don't know where this came from. Dawn says she does not see her on the defense list. Sparkly Rabbit, can you answer a question that people don't give you money? That's all I'm asking. Didn't you ask me that yesterday? And I said, yes, I do. But I've got 4,500, some over 5,500 people in the chat. So if I don't see your question, I don't see your question. If you have a question, you can certainly put it right in there. Put it in there right now, Sparkly Rabbit. And I'll answer it for you. Highland of Vergata. Good news today on Rex Heuermann, right? Indicted on 2 more murders of missing women, along with the Gilgo 4. And I believe it's for Jessica Taylor and Sandra Costilla. Correct? Okay, Sparkly Rabbit, I'm waiting for your question. I don't know. I almost feel bad for Lally. He got assigned this case. I would have quit and moved on. His career's gone. Yeah, here's the thing, right? A lot of people are saying that, he should have just refused the case. That he's an ADA. He's an employee really of the DA's office, right? So Michael Marcy, the DA, who made the hostage video in August of 2023 and came out and basically said the defense is a sham and all these people that were in 34 Fairview that night are innocent. They didn't do anything wrong. Colin Albert was never in the house. He said that. Colin Albert was never in the house. And he said the third-party culprit theme was bogus. And he said a lot of other very, very things that a district attorney is not allowed to say. And they want to call him as a witness. And he's in charge of that office. So he decides what to prosecute. He should have dropped it, if you're asking, if you want my opinion. Michael Marcy should have dropped it. He should have never gone forward with the prosecution of this case. They should have never upgraded the charges. But then again, Lally is an employee. He doesn't really have a choice. He's like, oh, well, it's my case. I'm assigned to it. He gets paid a salary. So whether he wins or loses, he's still getting paid. But yeah, maybe he didn't have the ability to quit and move on. But you're right. I think a lot of people feel that way. I think he's the fall guy. I truly believe he's the fall guy in all of this. Every day is a new day, and I don't know what to believe. I don't think anymore. It's insanity. Christy Painter's daughter says, check out the opening of the bag with the hoodie versus the photo the lab girl posted of the hoodie she tested. That photo shows a lighter colored hoodie. Cut up the middle and down, both sleeves blood. I'll check that out. Sometimes the lighting can affect the video and the color of the video, so I am not really sure. Annalie Elizabeth, did I receive your email and Instagram? I don't check Instagram messages. They go into a black hole. So if you're trying to reach me, fanbase@mlittlelaw.com is my email. If you're sending it to a different email, I'm not going to see it. So if you want to send it to me again, fanbase@mlittlelaw.com. I read them all. I don't get a chance to respond to them all. So thank you for that. And I also do not post anything or put anything on my channel that I can't independently verify. So thank you for that. Please hit the like button because that is important for the ridiculous algorithm that YouTube seems to have. Question, did Paul leave early? I don't know. I'm not in the courtroom, but Brian is. So if he's going to do a recap show tonight, I think he's going to tell us all on LTL True Crime what went on in the courthouse today. And I can't wait to hear it. What about you? So go over there to Brian at LTL True Crime and hit the notification bell so you'll know when he goes live and he can tell us all about what happened. Brian Weber says the Commonwealth had one halfway decent day yesterday and Mr. Jackson popped their balloon today. Yeah, well, we were waiting for the cross, right? So no court tomorrow and no court next Tuesday. So we'll be in at Monday at 8:30 to hear that motion. So Monday's going to be an early day. Make sure you hit the bell once I post it. Eliza, judge changes the schedule all the time. Have you not been watching the entire trial? Yeah, she does all the time. It's summer hours. We're on summer hours now. Sparkly Rabbit, I agree with all of you. I'm just saying that it seems odd that the judge shut the case down at 12:22 p.m. today before the defense could end on a good note. Well, we knew court was ending at 12 today because, maybe some people need to get to the Cape for the weekend. But it was only supposed to go from 9 to 12. We were a little bit behind. So if we ended at 12:22, we might have been a little bit behind. But that's okay because you know what? The jury is going to marinate on all this information Friday, Saturday, Sunday. All this information that they heard from YURY, like what? It's not important to measure where these pieces were found in the death of a Boston police officer? Like what? All your evidence was stored improperly and you have no chain of custody and the clothes were just left out to dry on butcher paper somewhere and you don't really know why? And how come you guys are bringing all this stuff to the Canton Police Department when they were conflicted out of the case on the 29th? And then he testified. Then he had the audacity to testify. He thought that they were just conflicted out for interviews, not for, not for anything else other than that. Just interviews, not evidence collection, not evidence storage, not Sallyport usage, not anything else. But I think, I don't know what this is. Stop talking over what's going on during the case. Bab, have you been here before? I pause the stream and I give commentary. That's what I do. That's what I do, Bab. So, I mean, you can go over to Law and Crime and watch it without the commentary if that's what you want to do. Good luck in the chat there, but I don't know why you're telling me how to run my channel, but peace out. Peace out. Nosy Rosie. Yep, some are. They're on some. This is why I like Bab. There's the door. There's the door. Thanks. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for coming in. That's what we do. I don't talk over it. I pause it. Clearly, you haven't been watching my coverage, so thanks. Cool. 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 Lilika Gushka, thanks again. I know it's just speculation, but how high do you believe this conspiracy runs? Melanie, thanks for everything. You just keep me hanging on. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Conspiracy, cover up, botched investigation. I don't know. Tell them the guy never went in the house. I keep going back to that. Tell them the guy never went in the house. There were 4 people on that group message, right? If he did go in the house and the 4 people on that group message are talking about tell them the guy never went in the house, is it because the guy really did go in the house and those 4 people know it? And then you call in a friendly and just be like, here, dude, do me a solid. Don't come in my house. Don't, it doesn't really need to go there doesn't need to be so many people involved in any sort of conspiracy or cover up. Just a couple of people who maybe want to protect a family member, kind of like an organized crime type thing. And some incompetent investigators. And then some people who are, and we've seen all of the testimony that has changed so drastically from when these witnesses testified on the stand, from the interviews that they gave, from the statements that they gave until what they said on the stand. Could I have hit him? Did I hit him? Has morphed into I hit him. So we got a lot of problems. Hi, Cecily. Thank you. How can the defense still be handing over discovery this week? The defense got her AT&T records on June 3rd, 2024 this week. Yeah, I don't know. I think there were Verizon records, other records you're saying. And I don't know if they were for Jen McCabe's phone because they've been fighting for those records for a long time because the wrong records came in all the way back in the early days of a pretrial motion hearing that we went over together. The wrong records were sent by Verizon. And then the judge told the defense team to call Verizon, and they called Verizon, and Verizon said, we're not going to deal with you. We only deal with the court. So then the court clerk had a call. So I don't know. Every day's a new day here, you guys. Every day is a new freaking flippin' day. And that's where we are. Joseph Kane wants to end on this note. Corey Richens, thank you, Dog Time. I don't know when that trial is starting. If it's after this one, sure. Joseph Kane wants to end on this note. 2:27:40 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hoss Long to dying cold search happened. That's his story, and he's sticking to it. Everybody hit the subscribe button and hit the bell so you'll know when I go live. And Tracy, thank you so much for your Venmo. And you guys are amazing. Yeah, hit the bell so you'll know when I go live because we have a 3-day off period. So I'm going to cover the Long Island serial killer. We may come back on some more Karen Reed stuff. I've been talking to Ali Mata from Defense Diaries and Natalie Lawyer Chick and Mark Betterow. So you never know what's going to pop up on the schedule. It could be pretty fun. So you want to be there. Trust me, you want to be. Thank you so much to my moderators for hanging in there, for keeping the chat classy, and for everything that you do for me. I love each and every one of you so very much. Channel members, my cupcakes rock. Viewers, replay viewers, you're all totally amazing. And my friends, as I always say to end every stream, remember, be cool, be kind, be classy. It's not hard, really. It's so not hard. And here's another reminder for today. I don't think I showed this, but This is the way we rule here. It's the way we roll. Be nice or leave. I'll see you soon, my friends. Have an awesome weekend. Peace out.